Yeah.
God.
That's not even the slang, the correct slang. I feel like...
You just said, brother, please teach me Hindi.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That's exactly what I meant to say.
Yeah, I know, but don't. What?
Why not?
Okay.
I say yaar instead. Actually, I don't even know if this slang translates, but in Bangalore people say matcha. I don't know if that's something people say.
Shut up. You know, Logan Paul does something on his podcast, which is like whenever he starts, he just goes, "The #1 podcast in the world."
And it's, whether that's true.
Well,
or not.
it's like 200th.
Really?
I feel like I should just start lying and see if that's gonna work. Like,
Yeah.
Welcome
that's
back
how
to
his
the-
whole career is built. Like,
A mountain of lies.
yeah. Do you guys know about the crypto stuff?
no.
I would not be surprised if there
Okay,
was
well, never
crypto
mind.
stuff.
Let's not get into that. But welcome back
Now
to the
I'm
most
curious.
highly produced podcast in the world.
Yeah.
I spent 2 hours setting up. Today we're gonna do the apocalypse debate.
Ooh.
I told you. Well, you were there.
Yeah, I was there, but I think you're making the rules a little more clear than
Yeah.
it was in the actual debate, because that wasn't. You didn't go. Did you see it?
I didn't go, but I heard a lot about
Okay.
it.
What did you hear?
Like its structure, the arguments.
No,
they
but
made.
this year, did you hear like how it was?
Oh no, I didn't.
Okay, it was a shit show.
Why? What happened?
Oh, you know. Okay, let's get into this first. Let's talk. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a good way to start. Okay, so the apocalypse debate, basically, premises. I know you know the premise, but I'm just saying it. Premise is that the apocalypse has come and only one discipline gets to go in a time capsule for the next sentient life that emerges to have access to, and professors from all the disciplines, or whatever disciplines they can afford that day, come and debate why their discipline should be the one to stay. And the 4 disciplines that were represented that day were anthropology, computer science, philosophy, and animal science. And the 5th, which was our professor, who said why none of them should survive. I thought he won that debate, honestly.
I tried
But-
to get the engineering professor to go, but he was busy. He had a conference.
A conference?
Yeah, the mechanical engineering professor.
Yeah.
He could have done well, I feel like.
Yeah, it was weird because most of them didn't like try to engage with the actual topic at all. And Sam just went full ad hominem on all of them.
Yeah, I am a little sad I missed that.
He literally started.
It was pretty funny.
He just called every time he came up, he just called the computer science guy a robot and said we shouldn't trust him.
No, he was like, "Yeah, Mr. AI, you couldn't even get the projector to work 5 minutes ago." Like,
That's funny.
No, exactly, and he's now gonna save the human race.
Yeah.
with AIs.
yeah,
He told the philosophy professor the best thing they can do is not have philosophy as a part of humanity ever again.
How did the philosophy professor take that?
None of them tried to respond to him. Like they didn't,
Oh, that's sad.
because they're like nice.
Like Sam.
Yeah, exactly. But no, yeah, I wish they would have engaged with the thing more because, well, I did want to see more of a discourse, but like the animal science guy, for example, he just went up and started talking about why.
he was so specific about cows. Like his whole thing was about how to do everything with a cow.
When cows have milk that's good for amino acids and
Oh yeah.
omega-3. Yeah, but that has nothing to, like, how does that matter?
It wasn't about the debate. He was just like, cows are good. Like that was.
Presumably, if you're having an apocalypse, all you need to do is acquire a few cows, and then from that you can build your civilization.
You think, maybe this could segue into the debate. You think that the knowledge about cow rearing is the only knowledge
Heck
that
yeah.
should survive?
Actually, if you can properly take care of and maintain like a big enough thing of cows get you everything, right?
Or she is
Milk,
the guy.
meat, right? Specifically, they can digest food that humans themselves cannot digest because they have multiple stomachs. They can eat grass, which humans can't eat, which means they're going off a different food supply than the humans, which means if you have an apocalypse, say a zombie apocalypse, and you're in a farm in the middle of somewhere, you can have the cows eat grass, which you can't eat by yourself, which require very little effort agriculturally, and make sure that they're not competing for your food supply. And then those cows turn the grass into something usable, not only for people in general, but especially for people who are sick or babies or infants. Cows are a great source of basically all the important things you need when your body is fighting off issues or is just really weak in general. Cows are just like, they're really good for everything. Me personally, though, I think goats would be better. But
Animal science would include all of that. The debate
Yeah,
isn't about
exactly.
There's
So-
no discipline that's cow
So
science.
if you were an animal, if you were trying to like say animal science was the one that you should save, there's a lot of reasons for it. Just because.
Oh, here's why not. All the animals are dead. If something killed all the humans, all the animals are dead too.
Why?
Most likely. Balance of probability. You can also be like, oh, why would people understand them? Well, we want to make
let's
it
like list out the various different types of apocalypses. There's
well,
like a zombie
okay,
apocalypse.
or we could just set our
radiation.
terms as, something happened that wiped out all life on Earth.
Okay, well, the original apocalypse debate is not necessarily about all life; it's about sentient life. But if we change
Are
the
cows not sentient life?
no,
What do you mean?
cows are not sentient.
Why?
They don't have consciousness,
I thought you didn't believe that.
demonstrable consciousness to a degree of which humans do, using the colloquial accepted
Okay,
concept
so-
of humans being the only sentient beings.
First of all, that wasn't like they outlined the premise very clearly
did
in
in
the
the actual
apocalypse
debate.
debate.
And
They
they
just
said
didn't
all
follow
life?
it. No,
Oh.
here's what they said: an apocalypse has happened, and the only way they used sentient was about when sentient life emerges again. They never specified that it's only sentient life that got wiped out. So
if you
It's
okay.
up to interpretation.
Yeah.
All right. In that case, then, assuming all the animals are dead, then the animal science major really has no legs to
That's what
stand
Sam
on.
said. But also, I think he could.
He just framed his opponent out of the debate. Then.
Yes, yes, that's no. He
No,
spent
well-
5 seconds on him. He said the animals are dead. Moving on. Literally.
Well, the animal science rebuttal though was that whatever animals do evolve and develop would be similar since it's the same building blocks of life that are going to evolve.
That makes sense.
But I
So-
don't know if you can apply that to a cow. Like
But-
I don't know if you know how to like skin a cow means you would know how to skin a goat
Well,
or
no.
a similar
Animal science
let's say.
major wouldn't be knowing how to skin a cow. It would be knowing about
The
how.
nutrition.
Yeah, the nutrition that animals partake in, the way their bodies heal and affect. Animal science is everything related to the science of animals, including composition and interaction with the environment.
Pause. Now let's set the terms for it and
Okay.
then go back into it because like we're getting into details that we haven't established
yet.
anything. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So let's say safe to say whatever wiped out the humans wiped out the other animals. I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
Next time sentient life emerges, let's say they can understand whatever we put in there, because that was the computer science guy's fucking argument.
Yeah, he was like, well, they can't understand English, so all of that stuff has no point. So I'm just gonna put an AI in, and they'll understand that.
and it's like, where are you getting the AI?
Yeah.
He's like, where?
First of all, yeah,
He just
he was like,
AGI in his
he
head.
was like, in around 10 years, we'll probably have good enough AI. So I'm just gonna pretend that 10 years is today.
Well, no.
That guy was my favorite
like-
guy.
I mean, adaptive AI, though, right? So if you're having one that adapts for whatever language they do speak.
Yeah,
They
but
don't
right
have
now
any, they don't
we
have any
don't have
model
that.
for that.
Oh, right now,
Yeah.
immediately, yeah.
Well,
If
well, that's what I'm
we're
saying. The guy was like, well, like soon that will be.
his argument
was-
Yeah, but he was like,
Oh, that's
he
funny.
mentioned how that would soon be developed, and then just pretended that it is developed today.
And he's gonna, and also Sam did
He's
try
like,
to.
between now and the next 10 years, so
There'll
like we'll
probably
just
be-
put that in the thing.
There'll probably be AGI, so we're just gonna put
Yeah,
that.
in today. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's not a great argument.
But anyway, we'll set the term as like, they can understand it because it's more interesting if, it's more interesting discussing which discipline is more relevant if they can understand it.
Yeah.
For the actual disciplines, let's be as generous as we can in terms of like what the study is. Like, for example, one of the philosophy person's arguments was like, all the sciences up to a certain point were included. in philosophy. It's only detached later. So, you know,
so like
you would
all
have
of Galileo and Aristotle's scientific ideas should be included.
Yeah, so you'd have the foundation of science. So I think that's a
In
valid
philosophy.
thing to say. So I'm saying, like, as charitable as you want to be, but, like, nothing that wouldn't be taught in a class regarding the subject.
Okay, yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
And some degree of science is taught in philosophy, so I would get behind
Yeah,
that.
exactly. And I mean, you know, as conflicts about interdisciplinary stuff arise, we can just address those. But I mean, maybe we take apart like the ones that were there. You know, like did any stand out?
You
in
said
terms of
animal science.
anthropology, computer science, and philosophy.
Anthropology is the only interesting one, just because if everyone dies, anthropology is the process of understanding the past. So really, it could be a way to understand all of the disciplines. Because if you teach them how to learn from the clues that humanity left behind, especially in the digital day and age we have now, with so many books that exist, with so much information that exists, if we teach them how to interpret it, they have access to all of it. Because every science textbook that exists has all the knowledge for any individual major's teachings. And if you teach if you teach whatever sentient life there is to understand our life, to be able to use things like carbon dating and...
But it wouldn't have the science books in it. You're not saying that.
No, it could, because if you're saying, right, part of anthropology is the process of understanding old languages, which means that within that, you would be teaching these people how to decipher what we have left behind.
No, but see, everything's wiped out. That's the premise.
Sentient life is.
No, because otherwise,
you're saying blank slate.
otherwise there's
No buildings, no
otherwise
history.
there's no merit to any of the disciplines. Like,
Yeah.
you can just say, okay, let's
Yeah, if there's
just
a
teach
building, then
language.
just go in the library and study all the disciplines.
Yeah,
Well,
of it.
exactly.
because specifically anthropology might be the only way to get the new sentient life to understand the old disciplines.
No, it's just language is a similar way to do it. Like, I mean, again, you'd have to teach them the language for the like we have to have some assumptions here.
Okay, so
Which
you're
is-
saying that it is functionally a new world.
Yes.
Yeah,
So really-
you only get to give them one discipline of information.
So a better
yeah.
example of this is there's a copy of the Earth, and it has just evolved.
Yeah, the first
I mean-
sentient life just evolved.
And
on
we
the
get to
Earth
give them
copy.
something.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think we could approach this problem from like, well, what is the most risky part of human development?
Yeah,
Now that I'm thinking of it,
engineering.
I'm questioning whether, because initially I was like, all right, well, the riskiest part obviously is like the beginning, like when there's no civilization. But maybe what if that part is like more inevitable, and the riskiest part is surviving nuclear disaster?
Exactly.
And that was part of the argument on stage, and they were arguing like, well, there might be nuclear disaster, and we need anthropology to prevent this. Well, bad argument, but even if it was a good argument, it's like, well, how do you even know they're gonna get past the fucking like hut stage, like the fucking
Well,
like
so-
tribes, like
One thing Sam said to the anthropology guy, which was funny, was like, you know, oh, you're the study of humans and, you know, studying what goes wrong to prevent. So what happened to prevent what's wrong, right?
You
It went
failed.
wrong.
You
Yeah.
failed.
yeah,
We shouldn't give them anything you studied because
that didn't work.
the biggest wrong happened.
You
like,
were bad at it.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
it's terrible.
I feel like the thing is, right, part of that is why something like engineering is a bit of a mixed bag, because obviously as an engineer I want to say engineering, but
Yeah,
should you give them... One of the biggest flaws in human history was the fact that we got technology before we had societal maturity. That's what caused so much of the pain, so much of the suffering, is that we
Explain
have
that.
access to, like,
Give an
gassing
example.
and nuclear bombs before we were mature enough as a species.
So 60 years is
do you think
maturity?
do you think it's possible for it to go the other way around?
Well, if you go by the argument of, like, maybe philosophy or something,
But-
right? What you're saying is that a person should rather give them philosophy so that their society develops into something with a stable enough democracy and a good enough, you know, culture, such that when they inevitably or potentially discover atomic power and bombs, they don't use it on each other and they don't cause another apocalypse. Part of this is about what's our value set here. Do we want to help them develop as quickly as possible? Do we want to make sure they stick around? Do we care about them being happy, or do we want them to be advanced?
We want to reduce the chance that they die.
Apocalypse again, right?
That
Well,
we
but
want to
this is
reduce
something-
the chance that all of them die. Not necessarily apocalypse. Like, I feel like if they all died from like a disease early on, like would you call that an apocalypse?
I would call that an apocalypse.
If there were like 10K humans and they all got wiped out. I don't. Okay.
Because it's like the idea of everyone dies.
Okay.
But what we're trying to do is up for debate as well. Like what we're trying to do and what our... But again, I don't think we need to set that as anything because we're going to get stuck on
But
it.
I do think it's like a good idea to mix both survivability and also the general happiness of the people. Because while survivability is important, which is why maybe you don't want to immediately give them access to technology, it's also good to give them access to technology because that increases their quality of life.
I want to address the idea that you talked about with having a mature society.
Yeah, I
First,
also want to go
before, nuclear power.
Yeah.
So is your idea that if we give them something like philosophy, right, and that, let's say, includes the core values of democracy within it, the study of Greece, stuff like that, they have that?
Yeah. Not necessarily.
What do you mean?
Like they might not take the right lesson from philosophy.
Or, well, let's just say they do at least learn to think, right? They will get at least faster evolution in terms of ideas because they're more engaged with it. Like, you see how... I'll steel man you for a second. You see how kids today, when they are exposed to philosophy, it's not like the rate at which they become more free thinkers is much faster than 1,000 years ago.
Absolutely.
Because there's more exposure to different ideas.
Yeah.
And so
Are you including the scientific method within philosophy?
I'm including whatever elements of philosophy are within philosophy, and part of the scientific method, the culture of that is there. Like philosophy is
the Enlightenment culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The philosophy is the core idea of philosophy is just thinking. Like no one disagrees with that.
Okay.
That's one thing, even within the discipline, that everyone disagrees with everything about. Everyone agrees that it's about thinking. Even Descartes, who disagrees with everything, agrees with that.
I love Descartes.
Of course you do.
He's such an asshole about it. It's really funny.
You gotta show her the short.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I think the idea of giving information about a mature culture, first, do you think we're a mature culture today?
No.
So then, how would
you think the technology that we have is
hear me out.
higher than our cultural maturity?
Yes, and also it's about where the maturity is, because I don't think the people in power have so much of a maturity. I don't think the culture necessarily has that much of a maturity. It could be present, but it's not widely accessible and it's not widely accepted.
Okay, so
I
feel like you're proposing a solution.
It's saying specifically, like, for example, engineering. Not everyone is an engineer, but the knowledge of engineering exists. The societal maturity, like the concepts that would create that exist. It's just that not everyone has taken the time or has the interest in learning them. So if we could, give this to a new sentient life and say, here's how you build something that won't lead to everyone fighting to each other, something that maximizes cooperation, then that's one of the most powerful things you can
We
do.
don't have that.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, what discipline do you give them for that?
We have nothing. If we need that.
Yeah.
We could use
I'm waiting for the discipline that does that thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. The world peace discipline? Give me that. Where can I buy that?
I guarantee you, if they made that discipline at Cornell, that would be the one that fights the most. That's literally...
World peace discipline. World peace isn't achievable.
Exactly.
Yes, it is.
You got the realists, the liberals, the fucking...
Well, you could say that is what philosophy is.
Yeah, the idea of that is baked into it, but I think you were proposing that as a solution to lack of emotional maturity leading to nuclear warfare, but there's no evidence for that.
Well, I'd say that much of the process, so why did we end up with nukes, right? We were having a war. We wanted something to end the war.
Yeah.
Right? So we got our scientists together. They discovered something that was devastatingly violent and effective in ending the war, right?
Yeah.
Hiroshima, Nagasaki. And so the idea there is we used nuclear weapons because that was the best idea we could think of at the time. Now, there may be different ideas that would be a little bit better than dropping a bomb on someone to end World War II.
Yeah.
Really? I don't think it was to end it. I think it was because of a lack of trust.
How so?
Because I think the rationale was that we have to be the first ones to develop this and show it and show that we can use it. Because if someone else developed it first, then you're in a really, really bad position.
Right. So some potential lapse in judgment led to our usage of it. Or maybe it wasn't a lapse, but like...
Point. What's the point?
The point is, if we can teach a society some other way of dealing with conflict, apart from who can get the sharpest stick the fastest,
So,
we have a society that...
This is a
What's the
brief disagreement right here.
yeah, but what's the proposal discipline there?
Philosophy.
How?
What do you mean how?
History is a much stronger argument for...
History would also work.
But I don't see how philosophy would work for that point.
No, history would be better. You're right.
Okay.
Thanks.
No, but I was hoping for something for a reason why.
Because philosophy has concepts of game theory in it.
Yeah, but those were already. This is my point. Those were already far enough developed. It's been 60 years. There hasn't been any.
Yes, there has.
No. What? The reason why there hasn't been another nuclear bomb is because there was one, not because we've made significant strides in philosophy.
I'm saying the reason why we have better philosophy is not proven by the fact that we haven't used a bomb. I'm saying it's just been 60 years. To some degree, we just have so much information exchange and progression of different concepts within philosophy that it's gotten, strong enough and complex enough to potentially be better at it. And it wouldn't be perfect, but it would be better. And on top of that, even just the game theory that they had when they dropped the first bomb was still better than a society that is just starting out.
Yeah, but they still dropped the bomb.
Yes.
And my argument
tribalism also is very dangerous. There were also things throughout history, right, that were also really shitty that could have been avoided.
Yeah.
That could be ameliorated with philosophy.
Sure. But again, the nuke, there's no evidence that the nuke will. Because, again, my argument is the reason there hasn't been another nuclear bomb is because there was one.
Yeah, I agree. What
Yeah,
I'm saying is I think it's just been time and we've had the information age, which
fine.
is why. But I am interested in history. I think history is actually also a really good contender because history is just all the stuff we've messed up.
What's the difference?
I didn't think about that, but that's a good point.
What's the difference between history and anthropology?
Anthropology is the process of discovering history. It's the process of studying the clues to assemble history, whereas history is the study of analyzing
what
the
happened
interactions.
in the past.
Yeah.
I think anthropology is
Can
also
you-
more specific.
Wait, if you choose history, are you allowed to be like, here's how the Egyptians did livestock, and here's how the other society did livestock?
Here's how the Romans created
all of
aqueducts.
the facts.
Yeah.
No, but they don't go in depth though. The mechanics of aqueducts are never taught in historical class.
Well, not in a high school history class.
I don't think most. You can't count independent research that people do. I don't think that counts. I think lectures.
Okay, well, how much do you know about how aqueducts work, based on just your history class?
Nothing.
Just tell me what an aqueduct is.
I have no idea.
Do you know what an aqueduct is?
I know what an aqueduct
Okay,
is.
explain what an aqueduct is.
I know that it's like water it's basically their system of water that
Oh,
they
I
have.
thought you meant how it works.
Well, you know at least a little bit.
You know
how it
at
works.
least the
Like I know they
well,
stacked up pillars. And
yeah,
put
but
it on,
I would
and
not
it
know
was
how
all
to make one at
You
all.
probably know it was all controlled by gravity, and you probably know that I forget, but I think I did know this from history. The slope was like 20-1 or something.
Exactly,
I don't
right?
remember the exact number, but I do remember them telling
it's
that
the
number.
concept of move water by having a very basic piping system.
Yeah.
And that's what you get from history.
Sure.
You did learn that in history alone.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so if you could
But
say that he learned that in high school history class, that could be included in what's, the history.
Fine, but there's a lot of assumptions there, even just about gravity. Like understanding gravity, I don't know if you can.
Romans
have
didn't
that.
understand gravity that well, but they
Yeah.
knew that things went down.
If
Okay,
you
fine.
wrote that in history, you would just say from high
But
point to low point.
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my point. Then this is where I was trying to get to with the whole thing. It's like something like an aqueduct, right? I think the process from which people went from ape to aqueduct is very important, and
That would
Just-
be included in history too.
but you can't read that. It's not. There's
Yeah, you
no.
can.
I didn't finish my point.
Continue.
You can't. Reading it and learning about it is not the same as developing it from the ground up.
Why?
Because the actual practical work of developing it from zero to aqueduct is invaluable.
So you're talking about the process of inventing concrete,
Sure.
okay? Concrete is also taught in history classes.
Again, you're just giving the information, and
why can't
even
they
if,
just
even
use
if you
it?
are even if you are just doing that, right? I really don't think it's. I see, but we're getting very technical here because I don't know how much you can make an aqueduct from studying what is taught about aqueducts.
It would still be
in
pretty
history.
tough,
It would
even though
be-
I
I
know
feel
that
like
water.
you're-
Even though I know water goes
Hear me
down,
out,
I don't know if
right?
I could build an aqueduct.
You are not the person that you
I understand that I'm an engineer, so it's
Yeah.
a bit difficult for me to, differentiate out what I know from engineering, what I know from history. But I am saying, even if it's a pretty shitty aqueduct, the concept of we need water in our place and we have a more efficient system by getting that water to us rather than going to the water every time.
Yeah,
Just
they'll-
that concept, right?
They'll know how to trial and error.
And not only
Yeah.
that, they'll also know that it helped Rome grow. So they'll know what kind of inventions are good for investing your time in developing. They know how much concrete helped Rome. So even if they don't know how to make concrete, they can say, "Let's try mixing some sand and water."
I agree with. That is actually the point I was
It's the,
gonna make
roadmap.
before, which is that it points to what the problems could be.
Yeah,
I'm less
It points
convinced
to
about-
good. Yeah, it points to
Yeah.
good problems to solve.
I'm
Yeah.
less
It
convinced
doesn't necessarily
about,
point how to solve them exactly.
Yeah, oh, well, but that part is like,
I'm less convinced about that being part of it, but again, I think whatever sentient life there is, if you point them,
They'll eventually
Yeah,
solve it. Yeah, this
exactly.
brings up such good questions about like the inevitability of like
solving a
yeah.
problem.
Yeah, it's like was it inevitable that humans made like advanced civilization, or is that
I
like
think
lucky?
yes. No, well, okay. Here's the thing, right? The only proof we have for this is proof that things
Is
were
one replication?
Well, no, we had a couple
One
because
sample size.
different cultures invented different things like calendars, independent
Yeah.
of each other. So certain things, right? For example, a calendar, right? Days need to be tracked because information on how cold or hot or how many daylight hours you have and what plants grow when can be based off of this information. Let's develop a method to track it. Different calendars solve the problem in different ways, right? You had like circular calendars, you
Yeah.
had Julius calendars,
lunar
Gregorian,
calendar, yeah.
the
lunar
Mayan
calendar,
calendar.
right?
Yeah.
The Aztec calendar, everything.
There's another one that was really cool, but I forgot it.
Toltec?
No.
Okay. So you have different ways of solving the problem. So would we have necessarily solved the problem in a particular way?
Doesn't
No.
matter.
But I think
Well,
most
yeah.
problems get
Yeah.
solved.
Yeah.
And
that
I think a
makes
roadmap
sense.
would be very valuable.
No, this is straight
So I
up
think-
constructivism. Like every society comes up with an equally incomplete
Abstraction,
method.
yeah.
Of approaching the problem, and it's not.
So
none
maybe
of them,
the best.
none of them work, but they're better tools than.
Because I
not
did
having
think I did try to like plant a seed for like attacking physics and engineering. Like I didn't it didn't become much, but like it was just like 10 minutes before this I was thinking about like, well, you don't want to give people just the answers.
Oh.
But I think the idea of history, you can argue that it's giving people the problems
Yeah.
Yeah.
beforehand.
And
I
also,
think-
it's specifically saying which problems are the most important.
Exactly.
Which problems
Well, no.
Well,
See,
no.
but no.
Hey, which
Wait.
which problems
See, actually, this is
advantage you to solve? Specifically, Rome did so well because they managed to do X and X. So it says, if you want to develop the fastest, here are the problems, here are the tricks that are going to get you that you didn't even know you needed. It's
No,
like
I have no. This is actually pointing me to a flaw with history now. Actually.
Go ahead.
So, we have context for history.
That's what history is. It is the context.
No, our current standing in the world is the context. History is just a perspective.
Would you not count an account of the modern day within your history? Well, until
No,
when?
okay, I haven't made my
Like
point. You gotta let me make my
1980s?
point first. I wasn't done.
Okay,
We're
yeah,
arguing with the
continue.
wrong thing. What I'm trying to say is that there are many different accounts of what the Roman Empire was.
Yeah.
Was it a success? Was it a horror-filled, fucking
Bloodbath.
hedonist,
Yeah.
nightmare? And so sorting through all that, again, we have context. For someone that's just trying to look through all of history to see what parts are important and what problems are the ones that are important to solve, it's a lot.
What context are you talking about?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like you don't need to be that smart to be like, these guys are thriving and like wake up with like grapes and cheese.
Yeah.
And these dudes are like hunting first thing in the morning in their huts. Like,
And
I
they're
feel like there's a
dying
better option here.
Of,
Yeah.
Like, so no, but specifically, like, if you look at a society, you can be like, oh, hey, they're dying of gonorrhea. They didn't deal with their sewer system. That should be something we deal with when we try to have a technical revolution. Also, you're saying context about differentiating between different reports, right? Are you saying we know how to tell which ones were right and credible?
I don't think even we do, but like at least we have an established system right now that you wouldn't have
Which system? For credibility?
for academic validity in terms of papers.
Are you saying
being
that
published.
wouldn't be also given with, because the study
No,
of
no,
history
I don't-
is about saying which
I don't think you can
one is-
give administration and like structure within the discipline.
You cannot say like, oh, how we run the history department is going to go, of course.
Yeah.
But you can't say that the academic process of evaluating a paper or a piece of
No, I say all of it
literature-
goes. I'd say all of it goes because there's a lot of conflicting reports
Yeah.
in academia right now.
I'm
too.
saying the process by which you look at two pieces of evidence from the past and say this one's probably true and this one's probably a guy who's lying or this one's probably incorrect or whatever is part of history.
No.
Evaluating the validity of certain historical documents is a core piece of history.
I don't think it's a piece of history.
Why
If you
not?
become
I
a
think it's a piece of-
historian, isn't that a big
That's
thing
your
that
job.
you
Yeah,
That's
I-
what they teach you to do in college, which is what we're asking. Are we going to teach these new
No, because-
beings
okay,
what we
okay.
teach a regular college student for this major?
Maybe I'm not saying it's not a part of history. Maybe I'm saying there's more. History is much more. Okay, what I'm trying to say is a point for physics here would be that there's a lot of consensus. In terms of history, there's a lot of disagreement about what happened, how it happened, what it means that it happened, and all of that's regularly within academia. Now, the idea of how you sort through that, I'm not so convinced that and even people today don't have a mechanism for 100% accuracy.
So
with
you're
sorting
basically
through
saying
that.
the information that we would transmit would be so garbled and useless because
Not saying it's useless. I'm saying it's a
but
point to
like-
consider. It's
I
a
mean-
point
I
to
mean, I'm
consider.
saying-
I'm literally arguing for something like physics right now because it's a lot more consensus on what is,
You
what
don't,
is the
you don't
thing
think there's
to focus
enough
on.
consensus with history?
Oh no, not at all. And
Really?
especially because
I think there's enough on like the core stuff.
and even with
I-
that, there's still the fact that
But yeah.
you have historical, like a lack of historical consensus,
Yeah.
but there is still a consistent set of messages, especially for early civilizations, if not more recently. Like, yes, the economic, maybe the history of the 2008 housing crash is more contested than something that's really old, but most of the old stuff, people can very clearly through history. What you learned in a history class in at least high school was how certain things helped people prosper, certain things didn't.
Yeah.
And that would be information that you're transmitting. So even if there's disagreement about niche aspects of history or interpretations of like societies and stuff, you can still see like a general picture, especially the older you go. And if you're talking about something that's starting from scratch, the oldest stuff is what they need the most. And as they develop and then have more conflicting information, as we're talking about more historical, conflicts in opinion from more modern things, they would still be able to then attack that with more knowledge because they've been following the guidelines given to them by history so far.
Yeah.
And then they could look at the different interpretations, maybe try out the different ones. Maybe see like, okay, there's like
Let's
80...
try this bomb. See how it works.
Well, yeah, but to the point where if you're talking about historical interpretations of the atom bomb, the consensus is generally negative.
Yeah.
Even if there is a lack of consensus, there is more negative than
Yeah, but that's
positive.
obviously not what I was referring
That's an
to.
easy bet to take.
Yeah, fine.
What-
This wasn't, yeah.
What parts of history is there not enough consensus that isn't niche?
Okay, first thing, this wasn't a point to like demolish the idea of history being useful. It was just a point to consider for why something that wouldn't have as many problems. Because there is a mainstream consensus of a lot of history, but there are alternative views on that, like, huh?
Alternative facts.
What is that?
No, sorry.
Is that a reference to something?
Yes.
I don't know what it is. But anyway, point is, like, I'd say all of it would go. And a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but sometimes, an alternative view is proven right. And there will be records of alternative views being proven right within the history we send back.
Yeah.
And so to think, for them to have to just sort through that and say, well, most people thought this was right, but this one guy thinks that, Rome was actually a hallucinogen that one guy took and just wrote down all this crap. And it's like, well, this one sounds a lot more interesting to me. So I'm going to go with this one.
Would you really, if someone gave you an account and you were like, oh, everyone disagrees with this guy, but this one sounds cool, therefore I'm going to construct my society over it? No.
You're not going to construct your society over
No.
it, but...
Why would you pick the interesting one?
I see your point. None of us would do that, but if you're a human who just gained sentience for the first time ever,
Well, but
you might be
wouldn't
more interested with the imaginative story.
Of course, but you wouldn't be interacting with the imaginative story because the stories you would be interacting with are the ones with the most consensus, with the least
Why?
weird. Because the older
you're saying-
something is, they're like agricultural, revolution and such, right? There is probably no.
The older back you
crackpot
go, the
theories.
more lack of consensus there is. I question that completely.
What are you talking about?
For example, right now...
Yeah, like whether Jesus was real.
well,
like-
I mean, that's...
Well,
There's
most
a
people
lot-
agree that he was a real person.
Certain things that he
Again.
did, though. There's a lot of conflicting evidence.
Okay,
and
but
it's like,
That's religion,
most
not
people
history.
believe that...
okay, but there's
Yeah,
like,
but
how can
there's
you
an
verify
intersection.
that when it's...
Okay, so I'm saying
The further
way
back it is, the harder it is to verify.
This is part of it being not just history, but history as a college major, specifically as a discipline. The way a person learns history, right? They're taught to interpret certain things.
No, but I say you just send the knowledge back. You don't send the structure of how it's taught. That's not part of it.
Oh, well, isn't that the whole point of this being an apocalypse debate about college?
No, because
Disciplines?
No, because I think that's easier to codify what kind of knowledge we're talking about. Because if you say history, and just all of it, you can talk about someone who's doing research, a history project in the Sahara that involves geology, cosmology, rainforest study, like all of that in their history paper. And it's like, well,
Would you not include, for example, a design review as part of engineering?
a design review.
Or, yeah.
I'd say if it's
engineering
if
is
it's
about...
taught, like I'm
Wait,
thinking
so
about like
engineering
whatever's.
is not just like building things. It's also knowing when something is working and analyzing your design and prototyping. That's all part of engineering. That's part of what you're taught in school. What you are taught in history as part of what history is as a subject. It is the study of interpreting what we know about what's happened. And that part of that study is the interpretation bit, not just the what happened bit. You cannot include the interpretive aspect. You cannot exclude the interpretive aspect of history. It's one of the fundamental parts of it as a study. Because it wouldn't be a study if it was just like people collecting evidence. That's anthropology. History is the analysis part.
The interpretive aspects of it are based in other disciplines.
No. The one thing that makes history unique from anthropology
What do you mean
is
by
analysis.
the interpretive aspects of it?
The process of looking at the different accounts of what
and
happened.
verifying it how?
Not just verifying it, but debating how credible they are and verifying it, right? And all these
Verifying it
different-
how? Geology?
No, not
Archaeology?
geology. No. I'm saying
Looking at primary versus secondary sources.
yes.
Well, like what discipline?
No,
what other discipline would
that's
you consider
fine.
that?
Fine. That, you know what? You can include that. Fine. But again, you will have. I'm just bringing up a potential problem that could happen.
Yeah, and
because
I'm
again,
solving your problem.
no, it's not. That's not solving it at all. I'll give you an example. Right now, there's a fierce debate going on in the space of geology and archaeology, but all of it would be a part of history because it's about what the historical records are. Which is why this conversation gets harder because it becomes more interdisciplinary. There's a community of scientists called the Comet Research Group that are doing research about a potential civilization, a more advanced civilization than hunter-gatherers 13,000 years ago that used to, be alive, I guess, who also... Do you know what Göbekli Tepe is? So it's like a monolithic structure, like the pyramid, and it's it's this huge structure that they have no explanation for how it's there and why it's there, and the records that they have and the history that people are taught is that at that time, and this blows the whole thing up. Anyway, at that time we were hunter gatherers. That is, there were no advanced human beings, no agriculture. We were just hunter-gatherers. Yeah. Hunter-gatherers cannot build that.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of debate about what's happening. And again, that goes into other disciplines, but the record would be historical. And so this is a huge thing that there is not consensus on.
There's disagreement, but my question is the disagreement over something that's actually important for an apocalypse information? Because, oh no, there's a big structure, doesn't really affect the information you'd be giving to someone in the event of apocalypse. That doesn't actually, even if it's just an example of how there is disagreement, I think the things for which there is a lack of disagreement, specifically talking about, like technological processes and how they impacted the civilizations that they were in, that's the useful information for these people.
I'm not disagreeing that that's extremely useful and would be very helpful. I've already established that the idea of showing what problems humanity faced is a great thing. And
what technology advancements were important.
Sure. But I'm bringing up a point, which is that we're going to go into a time now where history is as humanity goes forward, history gets questioned more.
Yeah.
And if you're just giving someone that information, right? We understand that history is not fixed. We understand that there's disagreement. There isn't consensus. If you give someone all of this information and there is so much discourse about what's true and what isn't, it's like, well, what am I supposed to believe? I think it's very possible that they start questioning.
There's not enough disagreement for it to be affecting how useful this information is.
The entire idea of what we are and where we came from and what we were 13,000 years ago is being questioned right now.
So? How does that impact the usefulness of the information? Because,
if an advanced civilization that built the pyramids existed before...
Right, there's disagreements. Let's say you give someone information and they look at it and they're like, okay...
I'm saying the potential downside of that...
There's disagreement in this area, but there's more unanimity in this area, right? Why wouldn't they just say, okay, this is disagreed upon, but this one people are pretty sure about, so let's just use
Because they'd have records of how this wasn't disagreed about. Yeah. And then later on, they found something that made them think...
Okay, so there's a chance they might be wrong, but, they can also tell that since we have the ability to evaluate ourselves, the fact that something hasn't been reevaluated yet does at least lend some credence that it has an increased chance of being true. Because the most easily and most likely to be wrong things, most easily to be disproven things, have already been disproven. Which means that if they're to place their bets on something, some piece of information that you give them, that's a pretty solid bet. Because if it was not pretty damn solid, we would have disassembled it like a while ago.
The idea that we were hunter-gatherers 13,000 years ago is one of the most rock-solid ideas in archaeology that we have.
Yeah.
And it's being questioned right now.
Okay,
and there's
so it
more
was
and more
wrong,
evidence.
but that's
Yeah,
not
but
a piece of
I'm not
information
saying that
important.
all of history is wrong. I'm saying that when you have pointers that say we might not know what the hell we're talking about at all,
It means that you think that this society wouldn't listen.
would question it a lot and
Okay.
would run into problems with that. And I'm saying you could say another discipline might be more helpful and more grounded because, again, we're looking at it from a perspective of we understand the value of history. We've grown as a civilization that's used history to avoid mistakes. This is a civilization that just started,
Yeah.
and they're going to have to look through this and not understand the value
The
of...
value of history.
Exactly.
Okay, but I mean, like, what history would function at in this scenario would just be really a nice storybook.
Yeah, I agree.
And if we want
But-
to look at the way that
The value of that...
if we want to look at the way that civilizations accept storybooks, this is going to be a bit of a questionable take, but take Christianity, for example, right? If you take the Old Testament and you give it to people and they took lessons out of it, even though, you know, it could be pretty questionable or misproven or whatever, sentient creatures still have the ability to take in information about accounts that is inherent to being sentient, right? To hear a story and to try and understand the cause-effect linkage that exists within it, and to try and take useful information, actionable information out of those stories. Even fiction stories people take information out of. So even if something's not totally correct, there's always useful things to get out of it.
Are you really telling me this?
Yeah.
I know. I agree. I'm not disagreeing.
Are you making the argument that theology should be the discipline?
Oh, that would be a fun
Could you
one.
though?
You could.
I think you can. I think you very easily can.
I mean, if these are the stories that survived over 2,000 years,
Theology is actually a really interesting one because if you think of Christianity as sort of a jump-starting mechanism, right now, you know, there's some issues with it, right? You know, if a thing says, slavery, yeah, like, that's kind of shitty right now. But 2,000 years ago, in the specific society in which it was being used, that was less shitty by comparison, right?
Yeah.
Because they were saying, treat your slaves sort of well,
Yeah.
right? And don't beat them too hard, and that sort of stuff, right?
how
And-
honorable.
Cancel her, not me. It's not my fault. I didn't say shit. Okay.
So
I do not condone slavery.
in that scenario, right? Basically, it's a bit of a jump start. So if you take theology and you're trying to teach it to someone, what you're basically doing is you're taking people's, you know, philosophical beliefs, but put into the lens of how one should act, right? All these
Bruh.
different concepts of how one should act, and then giving it to a primitive society and letting them, you
Yeah.
know, try them out for size.
Yeah, if the Bible stories are just collective consciousness,
That's just called being a dick. Telling people what to do.
if the
Oh, you guys
Keep
are
going.
recording.
Yeah, sorry.
Bye, Jonathan.
I can't make edits. I hate that I don't edit this.
if like biblical stories are human collective consciousness, maybe it's the most true things that should be passed down.
I don't know. How much value is there in truth?
I don't know.
I can't believe
I
I'm
don't-
gonna have
I
to.
don't- I don't
can't
feel like this.
believe I'm gonna have to make Sam Harris's argument right now. I hate that I'm gonna have to do that.
I don't
I think theology can't go because with
can't
theology
go where.
to the
Oh,
into the time
shouldn't-
capsule.
shouldn't
Yes,
be time
shouldn't
capsule.
shouldn't be time capsule because the religious dogma goes with it. It has to.
Yeah. Well, theology is not the same as a person who believes in a religion.
I'm
Theology is
not
the
saying it
study
is.
of religions.
There's no difference when
And the
when
study
it's
of
just
dogma.
information.
No, when you're saying it's the study of dogma, then you also have the study of how that dogma negatively affects people. Whereas a person who believes in a religion doesn't necessarily know how that religion negatively affects people. The study of religion is what we're giving them, which could actually even be useful for preventing them from getting particularly nasty religions.
I agree with that. No, I disagree with the second point, but I agree with the fact that like it is the study of religions. But different argument then is that it won't be as impactful as religion is to us.
Yeah,
because
really,
it's just a
we don't
study of
want to
it.
give them the impact it gives us necessarily.
Well, you might want to, because the only reason you're weighting it highly is because of the context you have for it today.
Not necessarily.
Well, it's just it could just be looked at as a goofy story that
Well,
no one takes seriously.
Not just the study of the stories within religion, but the studies of how religions affect society is within theology.
Yeah.
Well, it's also within history, which is.
But it's not
Yeah, I know. I was
again.
gonna
but
say,
no,
because
no,
you
but
say
history's
this
a
is
little
in
more
history.
OP, and
Yeah.
no, but you have
Yeah.
you have to say that theology is a lot more specific and a lot more like high definition.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not going to be fair. Like
Yeah.
history, we have to say is very like
Yeah, history
most of
is
it will
like,
be surface level.
yeah.
You know. But
surface
anyway.
level accounts of basically everything, really. Because
Yeah.
history is sort of surface level engineering, and it's surface level religion. It's surface
But
level political
it's
structure.
very surface level. Like
Just because it's everything. History is a summary of everything.
fine, but it's very surface level.
But I think that's interesting because
I'm
it's
not saying that's a
basically,
bad thing.
were we to give them history, we would basically be saying, here is us in summary.
I
Here's
think-
everything we
Yeah.
ever did and ever learned, and
Yeah,
just take it.
and there's value, as you were kind of talking about earlier, about like not giving them the solution, because them solving a problem
Yeah.
Teaches
is
them problem
is what they
solving.
need.
Yeah, I think that's the most important
and
thing.
and that's maybe why giving anyone anything in full definition. Maybe there's an argument against doing that, and the fact that history is everything
Low
definition
definition.
Yeah, no,
is better than anything.
I think
high
history is
definition.
number one contender right now.
Like,
but
here's a question: would you rather give someone history high definition or history low definition?
I'd rather give them literature.
Than either of those?
Yeah, I'm gonna start.
Well, I know you.
argument on
I
that
know
right
you
now.
would. Yeah.
No, well, I
Give
mean,
the literature argument.
I want to finish this first.
Okay.
The theology thing is interesting because I think the value of religion, a lot of it would be lost in terms of sending theology as a time capsule, because the only reason it is a very important study is because of how pervasive it is in society. So maybe you could say that, yeah, it would stop some amount of crazy dogmatic religious, but I think it's happened. I think it's been replicated too many times in too many cultures to say that it wouldn't still happen. Like, I think it still would happen. I think it's one of the most
But
pervasive
theology
things that
is one that is
develops.
only so applicable because it is in a world filled with religions.
Exactly.
I see what your point
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So I don't think, but I think literature works better than history. First of all, okay, and see, I'm gonna have to.
Bro thinks
One-
Cars 2 is gonna do better.
I do include cars too. So first,
It's gonna save humanity.
I wouldn't be against that. Cars too.
It's like, we need to get food. It's like, shut up, I'm watching this movie.
I'm reading this movie. Bro, this car's a spy. What is happening? The continuity doesn't make
What
any
is a car?
yeah. Fuck. Oh no. My argument isn't Tyler's. That was my whole thing. I was going to talk about how Cars 2 is amazing. They're not going to know what cars are.
Well, let's say that there's literature.
No,
that
because
explains
that's
what a
even
car
worse,
is.
because the car's going to be autonomous. So they can't even get what a car is from Cars 2. They're just going to think cars were
People.
Whatever it is, yeah. Shit.
Cars are just what they call humans.
So I realized something.
Oh, that'd be so crazy if you watched Cars as an alien and didn't know what the sentient life on this planet was. You would
And
think
thought that the cars controlled us. They're like, oh, look at this car taking his human to work
his
today.
pet human.
Yeah.
Look, they're putting him in a little enrichment enclosure. No, but okay.
It'd be pretty dumb alien to discover like interspecies.
Yeah. And
No,
think
I
that the
feel
car
like
is
we
the
could
sentient
do that,
one.
though. Especially because of the inherent bias we have towards looking for something that may be humanoid. We may be like
That's true.
looking
Yeah,
at a
and the
different
fact
planet.
that cars have facial like
Expressions.
structures, yeah.
And personalities and philosophy.
Oh my god, the psych thing about a red car like
Oh,
causing
yeah, yeah.
arousal.
Wait, what? That's not where I thought that was going.
No, yeah,
I read that red cars increase like crashes or something. What are you talking about?
No, like a red car in a like that's why they include red cars with attractive women sometimes because it like increases.
Yeah, specifically
The amount of
curvy red cars.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which increases arousal even more.
But aren't they trying to sell the car, not the woman?
I no, even if it's just an ad for something else.
Oh.
They have a red car with a red dressed woman. and like a beer commercial. And then,
Just to maximize dopamine.
to maximize lust.
Yeah.
So,
And impulsivity.
I don't like the car.
Yeah.
Secretly buys car.
Yeah.
Anyway, literature. I was thinking about this and could see I could play with the definition here, but like obviously I won't. But like literature could just be all writing.
The problem is literature is the study and the analysis of author intent, and effects and
Yeah.
interplay.
All like geology papers, physics papers.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see,
yeah,
I
but
see.
you're not
It could be everything.
sending them the books. You're sending them the study of literature, which means you would be giving them papers on how the Great Gatsby.
No, the books
is a
too. The
metaphor
books
for-
too. No, the books too. The
So
books
you
are
just want to
literature.
send them every book that's ever existed. You're
That-
gonna call
that
that
would-
literature. That's not
Oh,
literature.
you can definitely define that as literature. Literature can easily be defined as all
All written.
written material.
But the study of literature.
Fine. Yeah, well, that's why I said I wasn't going to do it.
Okay.
But also, yeah, I mean, well, like, okay, if it's ever been studied as literature, it counts. Like in a, you know,
In a college, like I'm saying, in the
College-
average college literature major, what would be studied? Yeah.
well,
all
but not
that's fair game.
because
That's all fair
we
game.
you
Something
kind
here-
but you kind of include more than that with history because it's not like they don't go into everything. in
No, of course, yeah.
college.
I'm saying
So
all
we said we were being a little bit flexible with how
a
much
bit
we include.
forgiving.
Not
yeah.
a lot in terms because like all of history is not.
So we're just
studied.
saying it's not.
I think just the
about majors,
amalgamation
we're
of the
talking about
knowledge
subjects.
that we have across the
Oh,
discipline.
for
of-
anything in a subject, and that changes things. Cause like engineering is way more viable now. If you're saying every single
No,
form
but-
of
not every detail, but
everything that could be studied. How about that at a university level, like in a college level, because all of history isn't
Okay.
taught.
So then
Like-
under literature we could put like literature for gender studies and literature for American studies.
No, I'd say you'd put all books. Like
All
I
books?
not for, no
that
I-
seems like way too much.
no
All
all non
published
like
books.
all not all,
All
books that you
fiction.
could see being studied in like a like
Okay.
an English class. For example, like you won't just disavow not like nonfiction because it's
Yeah.
like, yeah exactly like
Okay.
you could
Auto-
yeah,
A
but
lot
you
of
won't,
philosophy
you won't
gets
read a
included
geology
there.
textbook in literature class.
Yeah,
ever. Like,
well, but you wouldn't. But for example, the guy who kind of like spearheaded this whole fucking comet theory about advanced civilization, whatever. He was
13,000, yeah.
He has a book called Magicians of the Gods. That's very much literature, but it just includes a
Is
lot
it
of
something
sources.
you would study in a literature class?
You could, because he uses narrative.
Okay.
but he weaves in.
then, yeah.
But he has sources.
Okay.
And he
okay,
weaves
I see what
in,
you're saying.
so that, again, it becomes, this is the fun part about literature, you can just make shit up.
So
And it
then
works.
I would like to
I thought that
bring
was your argument against history.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
I was gonna say,
I'm
let's
getting
bring
to
the
it. I'm
history
getting
back
to it.
to
I'm
that.
getting to it.
Isn't there so much
I'm getting
literature
to it.
that's against any useful lesson rather than for it? Too much noise.
Yes, and I'm saying sorting through the noise is a problem worth giving to the next sentient life. I think, and this is my argument.
Wouldn't
I got,
history have that problem as well?
yes, that's what. But I'm
you
saying
get- you get
it's.
that
I'm,
and
I'm
history?
saying I'm saying history is giving too many solutions. We're making it too easy for these fucking youngins that are coming after us. We gotta give them literature so that they have to really sort through and trial and error. No, I'm being very serious here, actually.
I don't think it's too easy.
Give me a second here. Literature allows them to look at things like science fiction, for example, which is where a lot of science comes from in terms of advancement. Okay, a lot of scientific advancements have looked at science fiction for inspiration. Are you really gonna deny that? Because I can come with so many receipts.
Okay, like
that is-
user interface, that's about the limits of inspiration from sci-fi technology.
Artificial intelligence was first conceptualized in literature. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right. But are you
What?
saying that literature had to have happened for someone to have
No.
thought,
But
let me make
the
a
whole
data
argument,
model?
the whole argument was, for history, was that pointing to the problems and pointing to certain things that humans can look at or sentient life can look at for inspiration is one of the best things we can give them.
And sci-fi is worse at it than history because
Yes, I'm saying that's a good thing because they get to actually.
but you're not
they
saying
have
which
to
one's useful for them.
Yes,
to try.
they get to figure it out.
That's not good.
That's a great thing. They have to
Why?
use trial and error to actually figure it out. They don't get to see, oh, the Romans did this and it worked, and we just know. They don't
Why
get to be.
do they
don't
need
get to get
trial?
complacent. They don't get
You
to.
think complacency would
I
be an
don't-
issue?
Dude.
Yes, I 100% think so.
So
Okay,
then let's just
build
give them nothing.
aqueducts. Like,
But I think literature is better than nothing because it's. In some cases, it's worse. Like they
We're basically just screwing over
Yes,
this
but
next
but,
population.
but I have
of
a hidden
sentient-
but I have a hidden motive here. I get to preserve all the beauty that's within literature that I love. So,
so you're just selfish.
but I'm actually
Entirely.
but I'm embedding it within an argument that makes a lot of sense to me. I wouldn't do it.
You're
I
just trying to
wouldn't-
make it harder
don't-
for
dude.
them.
No.
I think
no.
you're-
There's still a lot of problems that are pointed to. There's enough nonfiction. Okay, the distinction between fiction and nonfiction is apparent within literature. You can't argue that. And so, what we as humans think is real and not real, there is a distinction of that. So it'll point to enough problems that are, actually problems that they need to look at, problems that they need to solve. Accounts of history are taught in literature classes. That definitely counts because, again, nonfiction is literature.
In a
Like,
weird
the
way,
Third Reich is literature.
yeah, and in a
Man's Search for Meaning is
Yeah,
literature.
yeah, and those are historical accounts. Okay, so do you remember earlier when I was saying like the thing about social maturity versus
Yeah.
technology? His argument is basically the opposite of, or a roundabout way of achieving mine, in the sense that instead of giving them social maturity so that it goes faster than their technology, he's taking away their technology so that the social maturity.
Here's the save.
We're basically confusing them
I'm
so
saying that's
much.
the worst case scenario, and it's still better than yours.
I don't.
I'm saying that I'm
not
I'm saying that's
convinced
the
that
worst case
the
scenario.
history problems are so easy that like it's not giving them enough of a challenge.
Yeah.
No,
Like-
my point there was
Like
there's
build aqueducts.
Go ahead and try. It's hard.
Like
Okay, but that was you guys' argument before that you can do it and you have enough
No,
knowledge.
it's not
for-
about teaching them how to do it. It's telling them
the problem.
that this is the
yeah.
thing you need
yeah,
to
fine.
figure out.
I think I can find a literature class where they study Roman history. You think
You're
I can?
just trying to take all of the
It's not going to be all of it. It's
history.
not going to be all of it. It's not going to be all of it. It's going to
What
be
are you losing
incomplete.
out?
A lot of it, anything that you wouldn't see being studied, like very specific iterations of just.
So you're saying that because it was
Things
included
that don't
in
have-
literature, it was inherently important enough to have survived the crossover from history to literature.
Things that don't have a narrative usually aren't taught in literature. And there's a lot of history that doesn't have a narrative. That's just facts. That's just like...
You don't think that's useful?
I'm not... We're talking about what's more useful here.
That's not more useful?
To the humans. Again, we're getting lost. We're talking past each other here. What I'm saying is, I think there's a stronger argument to be made for literature because some of the benefits that you're talking about in terms of problems to like point at for humans are there, but it isn't obvious within the text that crossing over into literature how those problems are like it's a less comprehensive picture in my opinion. And so, it's not just like, oh, the Roman Empire, here's what went wrong, here's what you need to avoid, part of history. It's like, it's an incomplete picture. Then on top of that, you have everything that you do get from literature, which is an appreciation of narrative, an appreciation of stories. It's like...
What's your major?
Infosci.
Defend it.
I don't think that one's gonna work because he doesn't.
The look on his face is just like, golly gee, oh wow.
Wait, say why you chose it though.
Because it's nothing.
Exactly.
That's why I chose
it. He tried to get me into it, dude.
Yeah.
I saw the CS 1110. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
No way.
1110's easy, man.
Bro.
Well, maybe we can make this interesting. My concentration in InfoSci is behavioral sciences.
Ooh, go ahead.
So psychology is what you want to
Yeah.
shut back.
Well, but it's a very specific psychology.
The problem with psychology
But I don't
is
think-
like,
I don't
will
know
they
if
have the
that's-
same type of sentience as us? Because
I
sentience,
assume yes. I assume
we
yes.
actually had this conversation with my Uber driver once at like 3 a.m.
We've had some interesting ones.
They were taking me to the airport so I could go home for like fall break. And we were talking about what would have happened if intelligent life had evolved from birds instead of mammals. Specifically, a lot of the key things you see in mammals, like so much degrees of empathy, are like stronger there, whereas in birds you see a lot more effective communication, right? Mm-hmm. And so what would have been the difference if birds were the sentient life compared to animals, and how does that reflect in new sentient life evolves? It's not going to be the same. They're not going to have the same amounts of empathy and values that we have necessarily, or like physical construction of their bodies, which means how useful is a lot of these disciplines if like they don't need to breathe air? Why do we need engineering for them then?
See, but I don't think that lends itself to as interesting of a conversation, because then you can just be like, oh, what if they're slime blobs? It's like, yeah, well, I mean,
slime blobs can still use democracy.
Slime blobs can all read stories and have fun. All right, they can. I think that's.
What if they don't
I think
understand
literature becomes
human narrative?
No, that we already established. Fuck you. I think literature becomes the strongest there, but I don't want to do that because I want to be fair.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying we include the risk factor of maybe psychology not being as effective because psychology and sociology involve. I think. Your concern's worse. I have a better concern. How about this? It's like, even if it's the same sentience as human beings, the culture hasn't evolved the same, and a lot of the culture has an effect on how we study psychology. Psychology is a social science as well as a science.
Of course, yeah.
That's why. And so a lot of it will just not work, and they're going to be like, well, I know what you're going to do. I didn't think that.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's practical.
Yeah, and not
I think psychology helps when
none of the behavioral science.
It's like behavioral science helps when it's like you're trying to sell someone something.
Yeah, but it's also
it doesn't really help when
capitalism. We'll send them capitalism.
It helps when it's like what color does a curvy red sports car increase the amount of purchases? That's when psychology helps. I don't think it helps.
That is very interesting.
I don't think it helps more than aqueducts are important.
But we include the risk factor that maybe it would evolve a little differently, so then animal science gets weighted a little lower. But we'll say we don't know.
Interesting. Okay.
But they can still definitely use the laws of physics, and they can definitely still use the problems that we encountered as humans. And
engineering's the best.
Why?
It's really not.
Because you can build shit. That shit'll make their lives easier.
does engineering teach how to build aqueducts?
Yes.
Does it?
Hell yeah.
Does it really?
What do you mean? I know. I can tell you exactly how to build an aqueduct.
Yeah,
That
but
I
you know what
learned
an
in
aqueduct
engineering.
is. Did you learn it
that's
in engineering?
Yes. That's one
Did
of
you
the
actually
fundamental case studies on how to build aqueducts and bridges.
I think you're getting a
Bridges.
little too excited on the aqueduct point because that proves nothing. But we were just a little skeptical about.
Yes, I'll build you.
Again, it doesn't matter. That's not the point.
Well, but so it's my microcosm of my proof that engineering allows you to, like, in engineering in the discipline, you are taught how to build everything, right? And
So that's what we're including,
yeah, all the things you're taught in an engineering course, all the things that you could possibly learn in engineering: civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical circuit engineering, environmental engineering, like all of these are included.
Yeah, you know what else?
Nuclear engineering.
Yeah,
Well, that wouldn't necessarily be bad. Because
I think it would be
clean energy-
much worse.
Doesn't this
I
go?
think- I think
doesn't
this
this
is
go
the-
against
I
your
think
gap
engineering is
between
the wor-
technology and social
Yes,
mechanics?
Yes.
like 100%.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But consider this, right? Why would that civilization necessarily make the same mistakes we did?
Because they're like us.
Yeah, the sentient life we can we.
They're
only,
like us,
Okay,
right? Why
balance
did
of
we-
probability, right? We only have us to study. Sentient life so far, when it's emerged, has bombed the shit out of each other. That's what we have.
N
Yeah.
That's what
equals
we
one.
know.
So if we're using population equals 1, also basically means you can generalize nothing based on that statistic. But
You don't need to with literature. Everything's up for grabs. That's what I'm saying.
engineering, right? Yes, it includes the study of nuclear engineering, but while that can be used for bombs, it can also be used for clean energy, and
Yeah,
there's
but you're not
the
sending any morality back.
All right, of course.
Yeah.
In fact, engineers are famously, lacking in morality.
Yeah, I saw Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
You've seen people who work for, Lockheed Martin without a second glance. There's, of course, the lack of morality that exists within engineering, but
But I don't think you send that
I
back
don't
either.
think-
you send back just the information.
I don't think a bomb would necessarily wipe everyone out. And tell me that you would trade in not having a bomb for all the technology we've had. Are you saying
No,
this?
I traded in for my storage. It would not even be it would not take a second.
The net benefit, but what happened with,
That's not my actual argument.
science? Science is, on the whole, a good. Engineering, on the whole,
That's
is a
very
good.
that's very debatable. That's extremely,
So
but I
would
won't.
you-
but
would
it's
you- are you like
extremely
a
debatable.
narco-primitivist then?
No, I'm not.
I
I'm
agree that's
I'm a
debatable,
progress
but
person, but that's extremely debatable.
I think it's too powerful. It's extremely powerful, though.
Engineering.
Yeah,
I think so too.
even if whether it's good or bad, doesn't deny that there are. Well, everything can be used for good and bad.
And I think you can't say aggression won't evolve. I think some core parts of what we know to be part of sentient life, this need to have
There will be
deterrent.
conflict.
Exactly,
Yeah,
conflict.
There can't not be conflict.
Of
It's
course,
just-
yeah. But the way that conflict manifests, especially because if you're talking about engineering, right? You're talking about how bombs work. If this society knows how these things work, the other thing that they also are able to know is how it affects people.
Nope.
The long-term environmental consequences that exist. Because here's the good thing about engineering, is that it's not the same engineering as when they used the bomb. Because the problem in the 1960s is they didn't exactly know how radiation poisoning worked.
They didn't know if they were gonna blow up the earth.
Yes, exactly. They had no idea how damaging a bomb is. And with information comes the knowledge of this is this bad.
I don't think.
And
it
so
does. I
there's
don't- I don't- I
the
don't think it
solid
does.
chance that they would have more restraint. Just because they know how bad it is in the long term and in the short term and how radiation poisoning works.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want about how much they knew. They knew it would be really bad.
Yeah,
they
knew.
knew.
Let me finish. They knew it would be really, really bad. They dropped it And then they were like, oh, we didn't know it was going to be that bad. They knew it was going to be really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
Again, the only reason there hasn't been another nuclear bomb is because there was one. And there's going to be another one if you send it back. At least one.
Yeah, so what's wrong with there being at least one?
I am not willing to kill off whatever sect of the population.
But there's
But how many
no
people
reason
die
in
if
your
you don't
There's
give
no
them-
reason in your world with literature that they wouldn't make the bomb. It's just about the speed.
Let's talk about that now.
Go ahead.
Maybe there is.
Really?
But there definitely is no way that in your world that it does.
Well, I think that like
I
nuclear
think you send
power is
back-
an inevitability. The
Yeah.
real thing here when it comes to this
But the
thing-
visceral image of that is important. Like you can't. It doesn't matter. Think about this. Think about the reaction you have when you see, 100,000 people died versus one account of a mother like suffering through
I'll give
Nazi
you that.
Germany.
Right. It improves empathy, literature.
It is empathy. There is no empathy for 10,000 people dying. You don't know what that means. Your brain can't process it. It's just a number. But again, the only reason
Literature, yeah.
the only reason a bomb hasn't dropped again is because there was one. And I think there's a
Yeah,
chance.
so we should speed up the process in which the first one is dropped, so that the population's at a low when that happens, and then the population can increase from then on.
I think okay, but how's this argument?
Yeah,
that
so the
it's
number
too
of people
small?
who die
In the
is
first
less.
drop.
No,
That's
no,
what
it's
I'm
small
saying.
enough. It's small enough that the risk of like total annihilation is also there.
Yeah, but people are spread out still.
No, come on. They might not be. That's an assumption too. Like
No,
people evolved
so-
in Africa first.
So everyone in Pangea just
Yeah,
bombs.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
They know they're gonna,
The
but they
conflict's
know they're gonna hit themselves then, though.
No, they don't. But
Why
like,
would they aim it at themselves?
because humans are crazy. Oppenheimer didn't know he was gonna blow up the Earth or not. Like they still did it. That's what I'm saying. We
Well,
don't.
they knew that they weren't going to blow up the Earth.
That's what the movie said.
The movie lied. The nuclear
Yeah.
bombs, like they
Okay,
knew.
Einstein said that.
Okay, so part of the science that they had available at the time,
I feel like
and the
you're wrong
science
about
that they
this.
have now, is specifically when you split an atom, how much energy is generated from that split. You can calculate that, and
Yeah.
the calculation you get from that is a certain amount of impact blast, right? And however much there is of that is how big the explosion's going to be.
Sure.
And it was not like you would have to be tens and tens of scales higher than what it was for that to be possible.
Are you saying he?
You can't
this had no-
miscalculate it on it.
No, this had nothing to
I
do
don't
with my point. Like, are you saying they didn't? They knew for sure they weren't gonna blow up the Earth.
Yes.
I think that's
Pretty
wrong.
damn
I'm pretty
sure.
sure. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Like,
Okay.
because I looked that up because it was like they played that up as a big thing at the end with a conversation with him and Einstein. It was
I
all
have not
apparently
seen
true.
Oppenheimer, so I
You
think
should. It's a good movie, but
I know. I still haven't seen Barbie either. I'm actually really sad.
That's okay.
I think that's okay.
I didn't think you guys would like Barbie.
Did you think you would like it?
Oh, I'm sure I will love it.
Okay.
It seems like something I would deeply
Why do you
enjoy.
think I don't like it?
Because you just had that reaction right there.
Okay, no, but you said you didn't think I would like it. Why do you think I wouldn't like it? There's a lot of stereotypes about me and the movie there. Like, there's so many things.
Barbie does not strike me as something that you'd like,
Wrong.
based on vibes.
Wrong.
Okay, so you
It's
did
not
like it.
because of like the vibe of it. Like the,
No,
I
not the
laughed
vibe
at
of
some
it,
of the
the
jokes.
vibe of you.
I liked the vibe of it relates
The
to the vibe
concept.
of me.
I mean, the concept behind the Barbie movie,
That's
did
not
you
why.
like it?
Yes, that's why I went and watched it. Look. What I was hoping for was just a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I did not want a badly made political statement.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you didn't like it.
That's not the vibe of Barbie. Barbie was not made
No,
to be a
not the
political
vibe of
tool.
Barbie. The vibe of you and what I know of the
Oh,
Barbie
okay,
movie.
okay. But I thought you said like, did you think you would like it?
Oh, I know. I'll like it.
No, I said you.
I didn't think you would like it.
I know, but didn't you say like, did you think you would like? To me, didn't you think you would like? Did you think you would like it when you went and watched?
Oh no, I'm just saying. Like from my perspective, of course you would go watch it. Everyone tries.
No, I didn't. I wasn't gonna go watch it. My best friend made me go and watch
I
it.
want to watch it intentionally.
Good for you.
Okay,
Alright, back on
it's
the-
so
Mine was
bad.
fully
It's so
intentional.
bad. It's so bad. It might be the movie I hate the most. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it
No,
does.
it doesn't.
It tracks with
Okay, you know what?
everything.
Then you
Okay.
have to be able to say why. And so when you go watch it, you have to be able to tell me why. Otherwise, you're just bullshitting.
Okay. I will go watch it and tell
Fine,
you why.
because you definitely won't
Let's
be able
get
to.
back to the apocalypse
Fine,
debate.
we tangent on this podcast. No one's watching, except Cooper, hopefully.
No.
Well, my question is, what if I send this to my mom?
Of course. Well, I don't
Yeah,
Okay.
well then now there is someone watching.
I don't think so.
You don't think my mom will watch it if I send it
He
to
can
her?
Oh,
see the retention.
I'm gonna see the
He'll
drama.
know, yeah.
Exactly, and I
Yeah,
don't.
30 seconds in,
I know.
0%.
I'll make a bet with you right now that if I send this to my mom, she
Hi,
will watch
Rushika's
it.
mom.
Oh,
You didn't see this. I was like, no.
You're betting against yourself right now.
I
by
mean,
saying
I don't
hi.
even know what I'm doing. Let's get back to the thing. I had a really important point to make, but I forgot what it was.
On literature?
Yeah. We were talking
No,
about.
we were on engineering though.
No, this was gonna destroy everything, but like.
But I forgot. so-
Yeah, no.
Oh,
to
wow.
cope.
Yeah.
No, you were talking about how.
I'm trying to think of all the college majors I know.
No, yes, fuck yes, let's go. The only thing that has a chance of recreating the visceral horror of a bomb dropping on Hiroshima and Nagasaki is literature.
Yes.
That's the only
And
thing
so
that
if you're
has.
putting your value
as
statement
much of a
as
chance.
preventing the atomic bomb, then
We can
literature
agree
does
that
that
it's
more
one of
effective.
them, for
Yeah.
sure.
Actually, I definitely see literature as a very strong contender.
No, dude.
Just because it. Yeah, that's exactly it.
No, it's also a running joke. Anyway. Go.
Let me think what other majors exist.
Well, contend with the point, or you just accepted it. Never mind.
Oh yeah, I'll just
Yeah.
accept that. Like,
Fair enough.
hell yeah.
So for
Literature,
one value,
empathy. You're
so
talking
for
to the person
one
who
val-
loves reading.
for one value, literature's on top, which is what even were the other values? Like human safety was literature's on top.
Survivability.
Well, I mean, like
Survivability,
quality
well-
of life is one that is defended by engineering.
Yeah.
Quality of
That's-
life.
that's
You
hard
don't have
to-
people dying, short. And
See,
British
but
lives.
I think it's a safe-ish assumption that eventually the problems that we
Yes.
give them will be
Of
solved.
course, but
So-
what about the people who have to suffer
Let me
through
finish.
it?
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
So the question becomes, which part do we want to give them first? What, like, arrangement of the puzzle pieces?
Maturity or technology.
Something
And
like-
I agree,
something like that.
maturity.
Something like that, because I don't think because we don't like to be told what to do. And so we kind of have to, I think going about it in a roundabout way, which is what literature is the best way to do it. Because you give them all of it, right? You give them Ayn Rand and you give them Dostoevsky. It's like, and they have to figure out what's what for themselves. And so I think that's the best way to do it, because you really have to contend with literature. Like, history is just telling you what's what. Literature is telling you that, and then you decide what it is. And I really think that's the best thing to do. Especially because, like, again, engineering,
Thoughts on environmental science.
I don't like it.
yeah.
But no,
But if you
okay.
think about the current status of the world with we got too far deep into this and now so much of society is dependent on things that are
Yeah.
unsustainable, blah blah blah. Microplastics in our food, etc. Right? Environmental engineering is included in this.
Well, then you have to include the risk factor that they don't evolve the same way as us.
No,
So it
but I'm
underrates
saying, right? Environmental engineering is about the engineering of knowing how to not mess up the world you're living in, which is arguably more of an existential threat than the atomic bomb.
I disagree with that.
And also, it's extremely arguable.
Of course, yeah. Well, I said arguably.
Yeah, but there's levels of arguably. Like, I think that's like really high up there in terms of arguably.
Well, okay, so how the
'Cause there's no evidence
concepts
for it
of
again,
like
like-
class 1 civilization, class 2 civilizations, and all those, right?
That's like how much energy they capture from the
Yes.
sun. Yeah.
Right. Class 1 is all of the.
And at some point, it just fucking implodes. right?
What,
Like,
this one? Oh, no.
no,
I'm
he's like as you get to a certain point. Like,
right, so there's the idea that there exists a great filter, and
Yeah,
that's why
exactly.
there are no other
The great
aliens,
filter.
right? That everyone faces some existential threat. The most looming existential threats that exist in the, sort of in our view from what we can see from here is either AI or, environmental disaster.
I think both of those are. You don't have enough evidence to say that they're the.
Of course. I'm saying from here, that's what the biggest threats look like. From where we
How?
are right now.
I'm saying you don't have evidence to say that.
Okay, what do you think the biggest threat is? If not
Meteors, nuclear disaster.
Meteors are not the issue. But even then, that's
super
still...
volcano.
Okay. All of those things solved by engineering.
You said environmental science.
Environmental engineering. That's one of the engineering.
No, but I think I'm of the view, and I think you have to be of this view too, that human beings are better at solving problems than being given the solution to problems and
Literature
trying to
keeps
solve
us from killing ourselves. Engineering keeps everything else from killing us. That is the argument I'm making.
Yeah, but I'm saying...
And I think we are less of a threat to ourselves than everything else is to us. Meteors.
Oh, that's wrong. I think
Why?
first of all, the evidence is against you here, but also
Every other species has died not because of themselves, but because of their environment.
yes,
And of course
yes,
we're
but they
different,
haven't had any, not even close, the opportunity to contend with their environment.
Of course. But I am saying...
Your own
that's what
argument goes
engineering
against
is.
it.
That's
Yeah,
what engineering is.
But that will happen. You can't say engineering won't develop to the point where it is. We're just talking about when we give it to them.
What I'm saying is, imagine, right? You have two different timelines. One where we give them engineering and one where we give them linguistics. And then there's a big, meteor or whatever, right? And in the technology world, they have the technology to stop it from killing everyone. And in the non-technology world, they have not yet gotten there fast enough to stop an event from destroying everyone. I think that right now as we stand, we kind of gotten lucky to some degree that nothing has just wiped us out.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And that we
Things have
are
tried.
acquiring technology.
Things have tried.
Huh?
Things have tried.
Yeah.
What did we do?
We solved it.
Right.
Right. And we're lucky to have the engineering
Lucky?
capability
Really?
at that point
Lucky?
to have solved it.
Really?
Well, try and
A lot of people died for lucky.
I know.
I think what happened is people died, and we said, we got to figure this out, and we as sentient life figured it out. That's
but
what
engineering
happens.
stops even the... But also, right, I'm saying this in a set of, probability functions, right? I'm saying that engineering will ensure that we have the technology required, whereas it could or couldn't happen, this disaster event. But if we want to ensure that this new species survives...
I think it'll ensure our doom.
Why?
Because as you give everyone that's in this new civilization the solutions to the problems, they expect the solutions. They become complacent. There's enough information there that they have to grind through and invent all of it. And so every time there's a problem, they go back to it. They get to where we are right now.
And then
they have
stall out is what you're
no,
saying?
they haven't developed the problem solving that we developed as
part of engineering is the study of problem solving.
Yeah, but it's not going to be as effective. You can't send back something that we developed not having the answers by sending back the answers. That's impossible.
No, what I'm saying is when I am taught in my classes, right, different things about how things work, some of my other classes are build a robot. Do your best.
But that's not. They're not doing classes.
No, but
they're
what
not
they
doing
I
classes.
know, but I'm saying what they teach you in that class and what can be considered under the scope of engineering is the process of problem solving.
Yeah, but that again,
And workflow.
what do you think people are going to focus on? I can learn how to solve problems, or I can learn how to build a fucking cool robot.
Well, you get both of them.
No, you're gonna choose the robot and then the aqueduct and then the laser and then the
That's
dentistry
a weird
thing.
pattern.
Yes, exactly. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna want to build all the things.
Yeah,
and
of
solve.
course.
Look,
And then when they run
unless
out,
you
they'll
have
turn to the problem solving.
No, because they haven't. They have all. Look, come on. They have all of this amazing innovation, right? That this has been given to them.
Yeah.
For they have centuries of just advancement at their fingertips, and then they're just suddenly gonna start be on the same level as us as for problem solving, innovation, it goes up exponentially.
It's not exactly going to be a surprise to them, though. They know where our information in engineering ends, so they will be able to see it coming from a while away. So when they get to the end of their thing, it's not going to be a disaster event where they're like, we ran out. This is the last page.
But they didn't have to solve the problems to get there.
And then they will learn how to problem solve again.
I
because
don't know about
they
that.
won't run out all at the same time. In one particular discipline of engineering, they'll run out. And for that discipline of engineering, then they will learn how to problem solve.
Yeah, but to get there, they didn't have to solve the problems. And so I am very skeptical of them being able to just instantly
leapfrog. Do you not think problem solving is a function of a individual sentient species? Like, your father did not need to know problem solving for you to have known it, right? So why not just have a species that... Because, like, I think problem solving is
there's a culture of that. There's a culture of that within science. So you're saying the culture
will be impacted?
Yes, of course it will. If you're just given the solutions, you think it's going to be the exact same culture.
So we're not going to develop a scientific... Well, here's the thing, though.
Definitely not the same scientific culture.
Of course. But why wouldn't, like, if you're saying, right, you give these people this technology, solving a problem is still what engineers do. So what you're giving them information is, here's how you make this type of joint. But your problem is, this tree needs a support, or we need to build a trellis, right? And when you're problem solving for it, you have to be able to adapt engineering concepts to an application. And that's part of the study.
That's a good point. It's like if you build a bridge, the engineering isn't going to tell you how to build a bridge for this river. It's going to tell you how to build supportive pieces.
Fine.
What
But you have to
softer.
Fine. Yeah. I admit that point. Fine. Accept that point. You have to admit that it's going to be significantly impacted, because it's not nearly as important for us to learn how to solve the class of problems, because it's just not you just have all the solutions.
Scientists today. Yeah. Right. Me as a person.
I think science has gotten a lot more complacent.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So right now, me having to rederive some
and we still didn't just get all the answers.
I'm saying the situations are symmetric.
No, they're not. Because the new one will be worse.
Why?
Because we still have a culture of problem solving within science.
No. But that culture would So what I'm saying is,
I don't know why I got a really worried thing that it hasn't been recording.
Do you want to check? How do we check?
Well, we can just check that. But I just no, it has. Fucking hell! Thank God. This just happened.
Why do you not plug it in, dude?
No, that hasn't been recorded. I was full charge, so there's no chance it was gonna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go out of battery. But anyway, yeah.
Well, so you have. Wait, what was my point?
You were talking about how today. I said.
Scientific community, right? So the lack of a scientific community, right, for an individual engineer such as myself, right, knowing that all of the problems that I know about are solved does not at all take away from the future problems I need to solve. And culture doesn't impact it so much as the fact that there are just problems that need to be solved. The only thing that could potentially impact it is
impacts it a lot.
And I think the only reason you think
saying you can make money for solving
the only reason you think that is because there's always been problems that you need to solve in a particular way. You haven't been. This is why I'm saying it'll be worse. You have to say it'll at least be worse. We can debate about how much.
I don't think it's going to be very much worse.
It has to be, because you think that there will always be a problem to solve because you haven't had the answers just given to you.
I have. That's exactly the point. My whole life.
No, the culture. I'm talking about you, the culture of science.
Why isn't culture just an extension of one person's experience in this sense? Because and also one of the best things about engineering is that it champions the mindset of problem solving to the point where it becomes more significant to a population.
You're not embedding
if this is what they're drawing their information from, inherently it will be a culture that values the scientific method. Inherently it will be a culture that has seen the fruits of the scientific method. That has seen, okay, this past like species was able to do all this shit by having the scientific method.
I do
Right?
think passing on the scientific method is
Especially
That
because
happens
like,
with literature.
no, well, but specifically like
That,
if you
that,
think
that
about
100% happens with literature.
yeah, but it's not, you pass on the idea of what a scientific
Yes,
method
that's
is,
it.
which is a problem. Because in the past, people have not valued the scientific method. In engineering,
I don't
you're
think
teaching
they'll
people
value.
to value
I don't think you value it because you're
That's
given
part
the
of the
answer.
teachings of
The
engineering.
value of the scientific method is only exists because of how valuable it's been. It's what you have. What
No,
have you
I'm
done
saying,
for me
but
lately?
I'm saying it's part of what you get taught in engineering.
Yes, but you can't embed that idea. They have to accept it voluntarily, and the reason they won't is because they're given the answers.
No, the reason they will is because the answers only exist through that process.
That's not how anyone accepts something of value. It's
okay.
the-
When we
the-
put it in the time capsule, we write them a little note that
That's
says,
not
"Hey,
again. Humans
guys,
don't. That's not how sentient life works.
Hey guys, we figured this shit out by using this method.
Yes, but
After you finish using our answers, you figure out the rest of this
this
by
is,
using our
this is the
method.
No,
same energy as like 10,000 people.
People don't. There's a fundamental difference with the fact that if you give someone an answer, people will listen to it if it's an engineering-based answer. People won't listen to it if it's like politics or something. Because when it comes to
That's not
engineering
true.
versus politics, one of them is a social science and one of them is STEM. And people are much more likely to think that they know better when it comes to a social science compared to STEM. When someone gives you STEM, the difference in understanding between the person who developed it and yourself is so much so that being humble in that scenario is necessary. There has not been anybody who has been given a engineering solution and thinks, oh no, I know better. And even if they do, they'll try it, they'll be wrong, and then they'll have more reason to trust.
Or they'll be
the engineering
right,
that
but
we
that
give.
had nothing to do with the point.
No, I'm saying, like, inherently, they're going to trust both engineering and all the teachings of engineering.
After they try it, first of all.
Yeah,
They
I would-
won't just trust
Yeah,
it. That's
yeah,
not-
I was
after
gonna
the
say
course,
once they
after
use the
they-
tactics to build the first
They'll
bridge
be like,
and it
"Oh,
works,
this
they'll be
isn't-
like,
Well, shit.
all right,
Yes.
yeah, I'm gonna keep listening.
Yes,
to this.
but that had nothing to do with my point. Like that was just an extra
No, I'm
footnote
saying
for
you're-
why it's good. Like that had nothing to do with what I said, which is what
Being given the answers is going to try.
the scientific method is only valuable because we've had to use it to find the answers. And again, maybe they can recognize how valuable that method is, but until you have to actually use it to find out the answers, there's no way the value is the same.
How are you so sure about that, though?
Because I know how human nature works. People don't just value things because they know that's how, like, okay, look at the patriarchy. Look at the patriarchy, all right? It's what's built everything around you. Mm-hmm. It's
Well,
still,
okay.
no, the system. I'm saying the
Yeah,
system,
yeah.
whatever system there is that's criticized.
The system coexisted with the process of.
Whatever you want to call the entire system of.
Well,
like,
no, because I'm saying the patriarchy wasn't required to build this.
That's my point.
Okay, yeah.
That's exactly my point. But whatever system there was built all of this, but we're still more than okay to criticize it because we didn't explicitly have to use that system. It's not there's not an obvious chain link, and there won't be an obvious chain link because these people won't have to use the scientific method to get the results that they want. They're going to be given the centuries of information and advancement instantly,
Yes.
and they're going to get complacent. Just the amount of time it'll take to build everything we have right now will instill a sense of we get the answers from here. That's it. We don't need to do shit by ourselves.
I just disagree, but that's a function of speculation. That's it. Like,
Well,
there's
yeah,
no way to
but
prove
like,
this.
well, there's no way to prove anything with regards to this. But we're just like putting forward.
Sometimes
different
there are
reasons.
things that have like some degree of like this is evidenced by X. But yeah, I know.
No,
what
but
you're saying.
we literally talked about how we don't know how this species is gonna evolve. It might not have eyes. Like most of the engineering thing, half of it gets like
Yeah,
becomes
or they can
useless.
fly and the bridge
Yeah, exactly.
structure doesn't
Yeah,
matter at all.
exactly. But yeah, but like obviously, I'm just trying to break it down, and I think the Nuke point is just a different point that also points to why it's too much power too quickly.
So what other disciplines? Are
Literature.
Okay, apart
That's
from
it.
literature.
That's the top answer, baby. Come on, let's go. This is
I'd be willing to give literature because I
math.
fundamentally believe.
Well, let's look at what other math.
Math is just
It's the same.
It's a variation of the engineering argument.
It's a
In
very
fact,
problem,
I would argue most STEM is
It's
a
the same
variation
problem.
on the engineering argument.
It's the same
just
problem,
it's
yeah.
the
Of
same thing
course.
about making people's lives better versus complacency and all.
Why do you think
Should I
I
look up the
used this
majors?
one? Why do you think I used this argument?
Wait.
That was one bullet for everything.
independent major.
Ha!
I win.
Yes, that they just get
Yeah.
they get to choose.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna choose literature, so I'm fine with that.
No, well, what if they choose wrong?
Well, that's
So
why
then
it's
you have to
bad.
give
That's
them
why it's no,
literature.
but that's why independent major is bad then.
Oh yeah.
Because they're gonna take
Choose
like
the wrong
they're
thing,
gonna take
yeah.
physics and get complacent, and then there you go. That's what I'm saying. They don't
No
know
one
what they
would.
need.
Okay, what else?
Of course, they're gonna take physics.
Bio.
Bio is like
Hotel management.
Let's try and argue for hotel.
Hotelli. Okay, you want to go first?
management. Okay.
You understand
The people.
how to
Hospitality.
create, yeah, and how to manage and lead others in
Also, you
Napkin
get to have
solving.
you get to skip
Yeah.
class all week.
Yeah.
We're being really mean to hotellies right now.
Isn't that the thing?
Yeah.
Isn't that the done thing?
Yeah.
That was like the first thing I learned when I got to Cornell.
Yeah, you make fun of
Arabic.
Drag on the
hotellies.
hotels, yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
ILR.
astronomy.
I was gonna take astronomy. Yeah.
But there's just no point, right? Like there's just no
Sailing.
there's just no way to defend that.
I mean, well, you could. I'd
It's
say
just- it's just STEM, but
I'd
to a
say
lesser
I'd
degree.
rather say astronomy than engineering.
Oh, this is a
Just because you're
minor.
minimizing impact. Minor?
Exactly, but it's
minor?
also some amount of.
Yeah, because
Oh.
you think it's
What?
it's just negative.
Thoughts on
Sorry?
linguistics?
Classical civilization is a minor, but that could be. I mean, I
That's
guess
just
that's included
history.
in history. Yes.
Linguistics.
Cognitive sciences.
I feel like most of, like, if we're
Oh, you said
going to
linguistics?
accept the technology argument being, like, basically his argument is any degree of technology is
Is
bad,
worse
right?
than nothing.
Any
Yeah.
amount of, so all of STEM is wiped out if you want to accept that argument.
Yeah.
Which I don't, but like for the
No,
purposes
that's
of-
not my argument.
Okay, what can you
Because
think
any
of
amount
as,
of technology is not the problem.
Can you think of a STEM that would be exempt from
Astronomy.
the argument? Only because it's useless.
That's
Navigation.
not true at all.
Yay.
Oh, yeah. It's literally the foundation of the country that you're in. Like, what are you talking about?
Navigation, the
You're
failure
saying-
of navigation
you're
is
saying-
the foundation of the country I'm in.
Yes,
He
but
thought he was sailing to India.
You need the delusion. How are you going to do it without the delusion? Like this
so
strengthens
you're
the
saying we
argument of
need to
literature.
recreate Christopher Columbus and the massacre
Yeah,
of
we
the
need-
Taino population.
I'm not saying
such
anything
that-
except that there are more valuable, like there are sciences that I'd rather send than engineering, like astronomy.
Yeah,
and
that
you
for
said
damage
you said
minimization.
no. Because studying the stars is
okay.
information that is useful, and also
any
you
arguments
wouldn't have
for
any
art?
risk.
Art?
Like visual art.
Ooh.
Like
I mean,
painting.
I'd rather send literature.
Interestingly, I feel like literature and art carries the same benefit in the sense of this is about the process of communicating
Yeah.
Nope.
emotion.
Pictures worth 1,000
Okay,
words,
let's
buddy.
let's fight this out then. Fine, yeah, let's go. Because I think that's wrong.
I can make more pictures
can't-
than I can writings, and one picture is worth 1,000 words.
Therefore,
yeah.
quantitatively.
Yeah, therefore it's just literature, but 1,000 times bigger.
Yeah, haven't you ever seen a
Ooh.
piece of artwork
I don't
that can't be
think-
captured in words?
Yeah.
So you give
No.
that- No.
I think the entire essence of it can't be.
Okay,
but
but you
Also,
think
don't you think someone who
But
could
we're
write
we're
a
going
really
off
good,
like on a
someone who
rail-
could make
on
like a really
I can
detailed
just-
cartoon of like how to do something would be helpful. Even if let's say they have no knowledge of other than common sense,
Yeah, but
they
it
can
would-
still
it would
be
only
like
be the ones
how
that-
to make a fire.
It would only be the ones that
have
already exist. Like it wouldn't just be the idea of making visual.
You know, art actually
Oh.
has some degree of like technical knowledge moved into it too. Because if you want to do any kind of art, right, like glass art,
Yeah.
metal art.
Yeah, but
you're
she
actually
calls
doing-
astronomy useless. Like, oh, I can weld. Like, what? I can run a camera. I can set up the
Yeah.
Blue Yeti.
Well, I think part of the thing
and
is
I know how the
in
direction.
art, as in the study of art, on top of just
He said visual art.
making art.
We'll
Yeah,
say
yeah.
art. We'll just say
Art.
art.
Well,
Art-
art
art
includes
includes
literature.
Right, so
Okay, then I'll say art because I like art.
No.
Art is much better than.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think to some degree art includes literature.
Art includes all artistic,
non-verbal art.
Well then, I mean,
visual art.
Yeah.
Unless you be like sensory art or some
performative
shit.
art.
No,
That's visual art.
maybe
I'd say
non-literature
that's
art.
visual art.
Okay.
Yeah, visual
Poetry. Poetry counts, but you can't like.
Art. Poetry's under literature.
No, but we'll say that you can do poetry, but you can't do like.
So you send an audio recording.
Yeah, but you can't be cheap too. You can't be like,
I was
here's
thinking-
how to build a fire.
What if it's just like
That's
podcast?
a poet. Yeah.
Podcast major.
Podcast major, yeah, because you just said all of Rogan back. It's like 1%.
Yeah.
No, because what's great about that is that then if we sent all the podcasts, they would see this podcast.
Oh yeah,
well,
and
yeah,
that's
but-
what really matters.
Yeah, exactly. It's useless. Hey guys, sorry we bombed the
Okay.
Earth or whatever happened.
Feminist gender and sexuality
Yep,
studies.
that's the one. All right, wrap
Okay, we
it
didn't
up.
talk about government.
Well-
That could be.
Wait, actually,
That's some
Government is
potential.
just like the same argument to some degree as philosophy, though.
no, that is getting into, but like bathroom break.
Bathroom break. I feel like we've covered all of the things, though. I feel like it's
No,
been
there's-
about 2 hours and we've covered
Really?
most of the big
Yeah, I
majors.
feel like.
I feel like
we
everything
could
else
go a
is
little
just a
bit into
variation.
government.
A
and
little
then-
bit more conclusion stuff.
Okay, I mean we could just do the conclusion now.
I need to use the
Okay,
bathroom.
how are you? Are you not gonna edit this? Or are we just gonna keep talking while you're gone?
I'm
I'm
kinda
probably
pee
gonna
as
cut.
well if you're gonna pee.
Oh. Can we use your bathroom?
If you're not gonna pee.
Yes, you can.
All right, let's go.
I will finish if you just want to now, but I'll also.
No, I
But I'll also
I-
pee if you want to.
Really, candy at 11:30? Rashika's mom. Or if you're
Now that
watching,
you called it out,
can
I'm
you
gonna
like
continue
call her?
eating
and-
fruit
Yeah, she tried to put it on the side.
Yeah, I mean here's me trying
Yeah,
to
it
be
gets
professional.
called out, and she's like, "Oh, fine, I'll just bring it back." in."
Anti-conformist.
I was gonna wait till after, but
Yeah. Oh.
Just to elucidate my attitude on this kind of thing, like I was talking about how I went to Target with a friend, with like my mom, and she was like, "Oh, who?" And I was like their name, and she just started laughing. And she was like, "I love how weird you get about like telling me about your friends," and so this is why I've never had any friends. What? I mean, I don't. How does that work?
oh, like friends knowing each other?
Yeah.
Mutual friends.
Well, I've had mutual friends, but that's been through other friends introducing me to
Oh,
their
you.
friends. I've never.
They were the. You
This
met
is
the,
the-
mutual
I feel
friends.
like
You
to
weren't
weird
the,
him
you weren't
out,
the
we should just
mutual friend.
become like best
Yeah.
friends.
It just wouldn't
Yeah.
work though.
Why not? You
I
don't
know.
think we're like compatible as friends?
I have theories.
We gotta prove this guy wrong.
I have a reason.
We're pretty good friends. I feel like it would be difficult.
No, I don't think either of you are capable of becoming closer to each other than me.
Then you are to either of us.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that I would take, right?
That's
Then
probably-
your
that's probably
whole
But I think we
premise
could be
is
good. No, but
dead.
we're just saying like being good friends.
How would that be a problem for me? I'd enjoy that.
Well, you said it was weird.
No, it's weird
It's just
because I've
weird
never done
introducing
it.
them.
Oh.
I've never done it, and the reason is kind of like, well, it's a stupid reason, but we don't need to go into that anyway.
No,
Um,
open up.
I don't mind, but it's also like a weird tangent.
Philosophy discussion? Screw that. It's therapy now.
I love how the earlier one was a philosophy discussion. Then we can just include everything and send it back.
All right, bring up the other two things. All right, one, government. And I think this is different because it's like teaching people how to structure a society. And if they can have a structured, fair leadership situation, like,
And the one that have the
Like-
ones that have failed.
yeah, like for example, some people argue that a lot of Africa's poorness is from colonization,
Yeah.
and other people argue that it's because of poor government.
Corruption.
Yeah,
Right. So I think what's
specifically.
interesting
And
about
if you have
that,
government, maybe you can avoid that, and that
if you
leads
teach
to everything, maybe.
if you teach everyone government, you know what they're teaching them? The
How
best
to be a
way to be a
dictator.
good dictator.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're giving them the roadmap on how to abuse and confuse other people.
Yeah, you're giving a bit of that with literature too, though. But at least, there's enough there that you can
I think
I
for
think the
literature,
risks-
the empathy outweighs
Exactly.
the,
That's
the
what
teaching
I.
of
Yeah,
malice,
exactly.
but-
That's really why I. There's just something. Oh God. There's
The lights
something so
automatically dim.
integral about stories to human beings, and I think we've outlined enough reasons why, that is the best thing to send back. But another reason is just like we've kept these stories around for so long. They're important, and I don't know. I like the fact that that would be the one that we'd send back. But the idea of government, there is another interesting point there where it's like, well, I don't know how much you know about like the conflict between. I think I talked a bit about this on call the other day, but like international conflicts between states, different theories relating to that. So broadly speaking, the argument goes between like realists and liberals, and
Wait, realists and liberals?
Yeah.
What are you saying that?
so a realist perspective goes
We're gonna nuke each other.
war isn't war is inevitable among international states because it's an anarchic relationship, and so the structure is set up in a way that the conflict is inevitable no matter what you do. Liberal theories say bullshit. There is ways that you can mitigate that, and one of liberal theories is democratic peace theory, which is that democracies don't fight each other. And so that would be a part of government. And I mean, if we could prove that that worked, there could be a strong case for sending that back. And I mean, there is enough evidence. There is evidence that democracies don't fight each other. Because the central case of realists is that the reason international conflict is inevitable is because there's no trust between states. Like you can't trust the values of another state. You don't know what they're gonna do, and so that lack of distrust, that
The
game theory
problem is
that
that
forms.
democracies don't fight each other in our semi-post scarcity world. But you could easily have it such that all the people in a certain country vote to make war with another country to get their resources.
Yeah, but this is the theory that they don't fight because democracies have more trust between each other because of shared values and shared
So
systems
is it
and
a
shared
decreased
ideas.
Okay, well,
The theory of the democratic peace theory is that democracies don't wage war on each other, and the reasoning is because there's more trust because there's shared values.
well, in that case, you could easily have shared values through philosophy too.
But not between states. That's
No,
it.
I'm saying like you have states in this world, right?
They would probably form, yeah.
Yeah. So, assuming you have states in this world, then you give them all the same philosophy and also all the same, if democracy in particular as a mode of thinking, and they still have the same philosophy. In fact, what if the philosophy you give them is all these philosophies and they all just take Zen Buddhism and then they're all just chilling in
Yeah,
their
but they might
vibe?
not, right? And there's evidence to say why they won't.
What evidence?
That I didn't.
That you
That
personally
humans didn't.
didn't?
Yes. But also, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Well, the question is, do you actually have a full understanding of the
Would they?
tenets of... Well, yeah, in a philosophy major, right? Do you have a full understanding of all the tenets of Zen Buddhism? Maybe you just don't understand it well enough to know
Yeah,
that
maybe they won't
Yeah,
study.
that's the only reason
maybe
you're
they
not a
won't
Zen
get past.
Buddhist.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they won't get past page 5 either. Like, what do you mean?
Well, okay,
This is the one thing we gave you to survive. I ain't
I'm-
reading that shit.
I feel
Shit's
like...
boring, not
Because
gonna lie.
it can get that way. It can get too abstract, and it's like, well, and
So you think that they would necessarily get to the moral conclusions of all the books you give them? You've never put down a book and gotten bored for that?
that's what I'm saying. That, like,
I'm thinking
we
that,
have to look at it practically from how people consume information today.
if you think
right?
it's possible for them to not consume all of the information we're giving them, then inherently a bunch of different arguments have to be changed.
I'm saying a lot of people aren't convinced by Zen Buddhism even after they read it. So saying that maybe all of them become Zen Buddhists, it's like,
Well, there could be a type of philosophy that everyone who does read it likes
But there
it.
could be my mother be a bike. Like,
She just didn't have wheels.
If only she had wheels. Okay, but I'm saying, like, there could be... do you think there exists a philosophy that is, like, the best human philosophy?
Yeah, obviously. That's why I'm an absurdist.
Okay, so say it's absurdism.
But that doesn't. The reason I think that is because it's very simple. It's like there's one philosophical question. It's why you shouldn't kill yourself, and everything else is up for grabs. Like that's what like.
And the answer is
It's
because
a
you
simple-
could drink this cup of coffee.
Okay, well you just bring that in, but that has nothing to. Sure, that could be it because absurdism says. Go nuts! As long as we can
It's equally
figure
as
this
valid.
out. There's one question we gotta figure out, and then fucking go nuts, go crazy. That's why I like, yeah. But I think you'd send that back with literature too.
Wait,
though.
do you think we should or shouldn't construct a society based
I thought you were gonna say I
Kill
think.
ourselves,
Do you think?
Yeah, as an absurdist, what is your conclusion to the one question?
I feel like I'm
Ending.
Still thinking about it.
still considering that one. No, I'm saying, do you think a society could be constructed on if everyone believed absurdism?
It is.
It-
They just don't know it. Like,
If
That's
everyone
an
knew it,
interesting
would it be
take.
a problem? Like,
it would do nothing. This is what like.
Are you saying
Absurdism
everyone's
is only useful for deep thinkers.
Yeah.
Like for everyone else, it's
No.
useless.
well, it's
it's,
useful.
it's only useful for anyone that has the like
Ooh.
curse of fucking
Of being
Think-
so intelligent.
Oh, poor you.
no, not intelligent. Stupid enough to like think about why we're doing anything.
Everyone think okay, maybe not everyone, but like the
No,
vast
but
majority.
other people
bullshit.
think
That's
they wake up, they're
Religion
like,
would
what am
not
I
be-
doing today? And then it's like, all right, I'll just go to
But
class.
like, yeah, on the
He's
vast
like, what am I doing today? Oh!
vast majority of days, yes. But religion would not exist without why are we here
Yes, but I'm saying
as a thing that most people consider.
Dumb
That's
enough
an
to
interesting
dumb
argument.
enough
That's an
to
interesting
dumb enough to
argument.
question what you're doing here, smart enough to not just accept a random thought.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say, but I didn't want to. So I'm glad you.
You are like perfectly dismissing every single
Yeah.
point of every
All the
religion.
religions are like.
Dude, your podcast is not gonna get viewed if you like knock out every single.
We defended the Holocaust last time. We're good. There's no.
No, it's only gonna get viewed if we
Yeah,
retain this level of controversy.
that
You don't
particular
know.
demographic you are now tapping into.
Yeah, you don't know what you just signed up to. Like we've got some places here.
Okay, what other?
The
No,
other one.
wait, we're
okay,
not done with this.
government.
We're not even close to being done with this.
Oh, okay.
Because the idea that religion, I think that's interesting because that makes me think maybe more people do contend with that idea, but that's still not. First of all, I think absurdism could be a part of literature. Like I don't think.
Yeah, Camus' writings are definitely.
Yeah.
100%. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But I don't think religion would be a part of literature, and so you're kind of good there.
Wait, what? The Bible. The Bible
But
is
no,
perhaps
as a-
the
The
most
ultimate
studied.
But no. A core part of religion is how it evolves. So it as a text has no meaning, almost no meaning. Like the only reason.
Yeah. And you look at all these different texts throughout history, and you watch how it evolves. Because all of theology, the study of theology,
You're not getting
is
history. It's not about how.
books from different time periods.
Is the fact that you've seen the Bible, like you have the information that the Bible's been around this long. Why didn't that convert you?
What? Oh, no. Theology, the study of theology isn't supposed to convert anyone either.
No, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying religion won't be sent back because religion requires the.
Religion was never on the table.
Okay, but that's what I said, and you said no because the Bible.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought you
that-
were saying like concepts of
No. The Bible can be sent back, but it means nothing. Like it's just a book. It's like any other book. It's a cool
not
book.
necessarily. The book by itself was able to convince a lot of people because that's exactly what happened.
I disagree. That's not what happened.
People
At
like-
all.
I think
That's not what happened.
the
Well-
like the infrastructure around it, like church,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Pope, the like
A lot happened. The book itself is just a cool book.
like preachings.
Like-
yeah.
Because you can see the
'Cause-
influence, right? Look at the influence.
Yeah, you can.
You can
see
Harry
the
Potter is
symbolic-
comparable.
Yeah.
Harry Potter is comparable in terms of number of people reading it and buying it to the Bible. It's not even like in the same realm in terms of religion. Like you can argue,
Yeah.
but it's not it's not the same. Like
Interesting.
so there you can see that's an interesting comparison. Actually. But
Harry Potter versus the Bible.
well, as a religion, but like it is interesting. But yeah, I don't think philosophy would. Again, I don't think philosophy works.
Okay, fine. So, government out.
Government. Should I
Well,
introduce the last one?
Well,
Yeah.
the only reason I said government was because if we can prove democratic peace theory works, because again, it's so hard to.
I also think that to some degree, government is captured by literature. Because if you're reading
Well, I think theories
Red
like
Pajamas
that.
or something, anything like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the best parts of government, like
Would the
how to run a
theories be
country.
really be taught in a literature
No,
class?
not the theory, but the demonstrative effects from a narrative perspective of a person going through some experience. They are like, they're living under some government and living life underneath it. That literature of that person living a happy versus a sad life because of impacts that their government had on them not only gives them examples on how government works,
like
but
1984.
a very
Yeah,
1984. But it also gives them a human perspective on it, like that very empathetic,
Yeah.
oh, it seems like a good idea, but then you read a book
that's a
where
good
it's
argument.
like this is a very emotional description of why it's not. Then it works out well.
I'm so good. I make other people argue
Yeah.
for me.
I was already in favor of linguistic. Okay,
Hey, no, you weren't.
no,
You
I was
wanted engineering.
no.
Stop. What do you mean?
I do genuinely
well,
and
no,
have
but-
always thought engineering is I said this from the beginning. Social and societal maturity needs to be faster
Oh,
than technological maturity. That's why
fine.
engineering was never on the table for me. I was just
Yeah, we
defending
were
it
just
because I'm
we
an
were just
engineer.
we were just talking. Also,
Yeah.
everything here evolved as
That's
it
it,
evolved.
right.
Like
So what's the last
Okay,
major?
last one. This one's pretty hard to defend, but economics. I don't see
all
how
the
you're-
theories are related to how cultures evolved. Like right now, it would be useless basically.
You think?
Other
What about bartering?
unless we
Bartering.
well,
I think they
Barter-
that'd be, you
bartering
can see that.
trade
You can see
theory.
that in literature. Like,
I also don't know that it is great to
Like-
advance the speed of currency and the idea of fiat and all that stuff before you have just bartering. Like let
Basic
people
survival.
Yeah, I know. Let people trade a sheep for 3 chicken. That's not gonna particularly hurt anyone.
Yeah. I also think that currency will develop without
Yeah.
economics.
Currency,
And
that's gonna
I don't
hurt.
even
All
think
of it will
wasn't
probably
economics
develop
not
in
even
some
like a
way.
Nobel Prize or
Category?
yeah, it wasn't either. It's not or it wasn't even one until
Oh, recent.
yeah, which is proof that you don't really. It's not as important as the other ones. If we trust Nobel prizes.
I mean,
Didn't Nobel invent something that killed a bunch of people?
I don't.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
and he got a prize for it.
Yeah.
Which one?
No. So yeah, hard argument to make, but I'll leave it there.
Okay.
For economic, yeah.
Yeah.
Economics,
What do you
I'd be
make?
willing to drop. I'm thinking, okay, associated with economics is business.
Yeah, I don't see it
All
being helpful.
again, the biggest problem I see is even the usefulness of it is based in how the
Society.
culture's evolved right now. Just
Yeah.
they're not gonna look at the economic systems and be like, "This is genius.
Yeah.
We gotta
Yeah.
we gotta
Late
implement
stage
this." Like,
capitalism.
why are you doing this? Is so complicated. Why all this because all this complexities hasn't arise from one person going, "Oh, we need all this." It's arise naturally. One hole opens up and we
Yeah.
just plug it in, and then that opens up another hole and we just plug that in, and then inflation comes up and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
No, and once again, I trust more that
Welfare, inflation.
economics will develop itself, but not necessarily that other ones will develop.
It also
themselves.
doesn't need to be
even-
developed. What's the point?
But that's what I'm saying. But even the tribes, the most primitive of tribes, still trade precious shells as their currency. So I have no problem thinking that people will find that. I do have a problem thinking that, well, let's say people won't know how to make a bridge.
Yeah.
There are tribes that never found out how to make a bridge.
Business major, even more
Yeah.
useless than
Yeah.
hoteliers.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the business majors are
Like
crying.
Korea.
But not because of the work they have.
Okay, so then,
I think that's
I
it.
think-
can
I
take
think
one-
literature
I can take one
wins,
last
no?
look through.
yeah, I give it to literature.
Yes.
Yeah.
I honestly thought this was gonna be such an uphill battle. Like, I did think about history too, and like I was like, oh, will I be able to?
I still favor history to a pretty strong degree.
I think history's second, but I think
I'm-
but I only think that because
I'm
that's
kind
just a
of
narrative
indifferent. I can't make up my mind because
You know what's interesting about engineering?
you have the empathy point, which is hard
the
to
empathy
capture in
point is just,
history.
like you
It's
cannot beat that
impossible,
with anything
I think.
else. And also,
Yeah.
here's the thing with engineering is that I do think in certain situations it would be better. But if you average the probabilities of all of it going wrong with the ones where
Yeah.
it goes right,
yeah.
and you just add that all up, then it averages to a less sure bet than
Yeah,
literature. Because literature, even if like at its best it doesn't beat engineering at its best, overall on average it's higher.
Yeah.
And so it's just a safer like thing to take.
Yeah.
So I'd take that.
engineering at its best. We can consider that. Literature at its best.
Literature at its best gives people more empathy and stuff, right?
That's not it.
and teaches stories and all these things, right? Engineering at its best stops people from dying, stops people from suffering.
Wait, we
Like,
didn't
that's-
talk at all about linguistics, by the way. which we're
linguistics.
going to.
I thought about linguistics.
No, but linguistics
It's just
is off
not
the
that.
table with this presupposition of everyone being able to understand what we're like sending back. It's like it's
Li-
pretty,
also-
Yeah, but there still could be like, I understand.
but in comparison, it's
Linguistics is just anthropology, but less useful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but
okay,
it's-
And you're saying this as someone who is a huge linguistics nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's only
There's
because
not
of
much you get out of
the
it.
use that you have with the society that's
Yeah.
evolved.
In
Yeah,
the society
yeah.
that exists, my study of language is important because there
Yeah.
are all these
Yeah.
languages.
Words matter, but cows also matter. Then,
Not all the animals are
especially when
dead.
you're living in a hut. So
Oh my
yeah.
god,
Not when all the animals are dead, Sam
Yeah.
Nelson.
Okay.
Sam.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
So
all.
can anyone argue like
I'm trying to think of other disciplines.
that?
I just looked
we
through all
covered.
But
of
I
them.
don't.
There's
I
basically
want
none
to
left.
contend with that like best scenario point because I think in the best case scenario for literature,
Yeah.
we evolve at a similar rate in terms of engineering, but we evolve with much more understanding and maturity about who we are
If
as a
we
species.
teach people like yeah, so you're saying like it's the same society maturity argument, but I'm saying at its best, right? We're assuming that with this development in technology, so too does societal like maturity evolve just because of the pressures of technology requiring it to evolve in maturity, right? Like I don't think there's nothing genetically different about us right now. The only difference in our maturity as a society is in many ways due to the technology we had and the way that our society had to adapt. Because for thousands of years, hunter and gatherer like things did not evolve in their societal
Yeah.
maturity, and it's not because they didn't have enough time. It's because to have that
didn't
evolution,
have
you need something that
enough
kickstarts it.
circumstance.
But I
Yeah.
think
Just
the
technology.
wrong motives for developing technology are so prevalent that it's very hard to say that's the worst.
We're saying best case
I
scenario.
would say it's very hard to say that wouldn't be at all part of the best case scenario. Like you even look at how
Yeah.
telescopes were. The Hubble Space Telescope was first pointing down
But
Yeah.
why?
to spy on other.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely,
oh,
absolutely
oh,
right. That's the motivation for the development
Yeah.
of technology has
What?
been war, and now instead of it being war, it would just already be developed.
No, I'm saying it's even worse that like now we don't even have the like slight chance of considering. Okay, maybe we shouldn't spy at other people from a giant like looking glass from space. Now we just have the capability. Let's go. Like we want to do that. Let's do it. It's like
I do think like to the point where
like in the movie, at least Oppenheimer for a second was like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't do
Yeah.
this."
Yeah.
But like now we just have all the access we need.
no,
We just
but
go.
you're not. You're still not taking best case.
I'm not okay. I'm saying
again,
it's
and
very
that's why I
hard to not
agree.
bake in.
That's why I agree with literature, because on average,
I know you do.
probability is not on your side.
I know.
But I'm saying best case engineering.
I'm just poking it a little.
Okay. You cannot poke something
But
that
you-
by
okay,
its
but-
definition
no,
does
but-
not have
okay,
the
but-
issue
but-
you were
okay.
earlier perking.
Okay, best case scenario for literature, we find that we have an interpretation of a literary text that transforms us into gods.
That's not how literature works.
I could say that's the best case scenario if we're not going to set any parameters
What?
for what a best case
Okay.
means.
Yeah, best
Books
realistic
are not
case scenario.
magic.
Sorry, do you understand
Unless you're counting spell
do you
books.
understand psychedelics?
Do I understand like how they work?
Yes.
Yes.
What they do, where
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Shut up. Stop. Like, what do you mean?
Where you go? Yeah, how do you understand where you
your
go?
brain, like the way your brain creates the psychedelic experience. And also the other thing is, nothing helps you if you're starving except for technology. So like even if you got the best book, if what happens is something floods your
No, I'm
town
saying-
and you don't have the tech to keep your houses from like getting wiped away, then boo-hoo, game over.
Okay, here's what I'm saying. Why the best case thing is just stupid.
Yeah, I don't. Wait, are you saying why best case is not something to be considered, or why best case is not? My best case argument is wrong.
No, why he's
Your
saying
best
why
case argument can't be right if
Okay.
we just say best case is like makes no sense because
Okay.
there has to be we have to then define parameters for a rational best case.
Yes. And I feel
Because I can just say my best case scenario is something within literature points to something transcendental and we just evolve and fucking,
does
you
that
can't
exist right now?
you
Right
No,
now.
no, it's
Does-
a best case scenario.
Exactly. Does
No,
But
no,
that's
I'm
not-
saying
does
right
a
now,
world-
engineering, best case. I'm saying we have engineering. Wait,
Yeah,
you
does a world where
the
that
difference in
leads
our
to
best-
not blowing
okay.
blowing up a nuke exist? Does
The
that
difference in our best case scenarios is that you are talking about a change in what is contained in your subject, and I am talking about a change in how that subject is received.
No, you're talking about cultural, actual societal implications of that subject not occurring. That's a real thing that we have evidence for.
I mean, I'm saying what I'm saying is right. You are saying like, what if there's a book that gives everybody like God?
No,
powers?
No. I said
godlike
no.
transcendental experience.
Just points to something. Just points to something. Someone takes. Okay. Here again, we're going into loopy land here. We're going to complete crazy land. Okay. Some random text that some teenager in this world wrote right now, that no one's taking seriously.
Yeah.
But actually points to something that is transcendental.
Why would they take
That
it
is-
seriously there?
It's the best case scenario. They just did. They happened to explore it.
Yeah.
And do you think you understand the entirety of the physical world completely?
With engineering,
No, I'm saying right now, like, are there things about this world that you don't understand?
this like the physical, like the science process
Yes.
behind it. Yeah, of course.
Okay, so my best case scenario is that they find a magical fruit that transforms themselves into
That,
God.
that,
You can't say it doesn't exist because
that-
you don't know
okay.
what doesn't exist.
This is nonsensical.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll leave it then. I'll leave it.
No. I'm saying the
I'll
parallel.
leave it. I'm saying I'll leave it. You win. Good. Okay.
don't
Hypothetical
do that.
is useless.
Don't do that. Yeah,
You're saying it's a
yeah.
useless
It's like, give me
hypothetical.
the satisfaction.
I
Don't do
understand.
that. Don't do that. Oh, you would because you're
No,
being
no, no.
irrational.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're claiming that this is not a hypothetical worth pursuing. All right, agreed.
Okay, I'm saying the best cases are
I
equally
agree.
ridiculous. Okay.
Cool.
To make sure. I'm not trying to win anything here.
You very clearly are.
I said this at the beginning. I wasn't trying to win. If I thought engineering was actually the best case,
I'm just messing.
No
All
way
right.
I'd do that.
Yeah, no way you would. All right. Okay.
I would stay. Here's what I'd do.
Even if you knew it was the best.
I'd be arguing until she has to leave. And then I win.
And then be like, oh, I won.
I
Yeah.
won.
Please, I had to leave, 30 minutes ago? No.
Yeah, but
worries.
eventually you would have to leave. Whereas I am extremely competitive and stuff.
I know.
So
I know.
I would
Believe
stay.
me. Okay, so linguistics. We should send
Yeah.
this to Sam.
He'll
leave
just
his
fall
friends in.
asleep halfway through. He'll be like, these arguments are stupid. Where's the structure? Where's the 5 minutes each? Where's the rebuttal period? Sorry, Sam. Please don't grade me badly if you're watching this somehow.
Imagine he stands up, he ends up watching this and he sees you making fun of him. I love you, Sam.
Well, he talked about how he likes people who disagree with him. Here we go. Here's your chance to prove it.
Yeah.
I would love
Not
to see you
people
say
who ad
this.
hominem him.
I would love to see you say this to his face.
You think I would say this to his face?
All of this?
That he would fall asleep watching this? I'd fall asleep watching this under certain scenarios.
I did fall asleep watching.
Did you?
No.
At some point when we were going at it, he was just in the corner like
Yeah.
napping.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this back for the timestamps. Wait, you fell asleep? Damn, bro.
He's gonna watch it and be like, "Oh, that's what you guys were talking about while I was out."
Yeah, that
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it interested because I didn't hear it while I was there.
you achieved the
Yeah.
power that I want.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting.
This is your podcast, man. You dragged us
no,
into
no,
this.
the power that I want is like to be able to forget things so I can like
Watch it again.
Re-experience them
Yeah,
for
We were
the first
talking
time.
about this earlier. And
You mentioned this to me too.
Did
For
I? Yeah,
Cars too.
no, well, all of it, everything that I love, like, but because we were talking about it, and I was like, well, I'd take that over a lot of actual powers that other people would want. Like, maybe not
That's a very-
flying, because flying's cool.
That's a purely
But-
hedonistic like power want, which is very interesting.
I mean, I don't see it as a negative hedonism, though.
No, of course not.
There are negative hedonisms. Like, it wouldn't stop.
Anything to an extreme is negative, and I say this
It's not
because-
an extreme, though.
well, no, it could be, because imagine what happens. You find your favorite movie,
Yeah.
You watch
have
it
the
on
ability
repeat
to
all
forget
day.
it.
You forget,
that's
rewatch,
all you
forget,
do
rewatch.
all day.
No, I accept. I understand this argument.
Yeah, that would be
But
a
I'm aware of
negative
it.
hedonism.
I'm aware of it, and so I'm not saying I'm immune to it.
What if you
But-
found a piece of literature that was just so compellingly enjoyable that, and that's not, it's not even like that unlikely
Because
there
there's other things that I find like a lot of enjoyable. One of which is the transformation of the information. So once I, experience a piece of literature, I want to talk about it. I want to explore it more. I want to watch it again. And so the only thing that I'd use this for is when I really want to just for like once rewatch it.
would it be a temporary forgetting?
Like you forget.
Well, no. Once I
you
watch it, I'll have
and
it
then
again.
you re-remember that you
No,
saw it before.
but because there's a difference between the first and second viewing. So if you forget and it's like a temporary forget, you forget only while you watch, you get the enjoyment of watching it, and then afterwards you can still compile that information with previous viewings.
Yeah, I'd prefer that. Because then the melding of the two, I mean, let's just
Yeah,
say
yeah.
it
Yeah,
counts
that's
as...
it.
Because I've watched the...
Okay,
I've
I
watched
need to
the...
sleep now.
Aww.
You know what? I have linear algebra at 10 a.m. sharp.
Okay, a few more things. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh my god, I'm leaving
No,
now.
okay. I actually did have one more question, which is like, in this new sentient world life thing, let's say we're a part of like 10,000 people, and we have all the knowledge. Yeah? Like we have all the disciplines. We've abandoned all our presuppositions here. What would you guys want to do?
With that knowledge?
with
No,
nothing.
well, you get to be.
do I start?
you get to be something.
I
right?
start as like a tribal society.
Let's say like everyone's within like a few days, things would just change. So let's say like a year later, now there's like enough of a civilization where you get to choose what you want to be in this new like.
Yeah, so you're just saying, what do we want to
Civilization.
be?
Not really,
And
because
an
there's a
engineer.
lot of. Okay, really? So it doesn't change?
No, I would want to be. Actually, even right now, my ideal like career would be, I don't know, philosophy or something.
Wait, I thought you were gonna say engineer both ways. Okay.
No.
Wait, what?
I mean, right now, I don't want to be an engineer as much as I.
What? I thought you did.
I like engineering,
I swear.
but I
Wait.
do it for more reasons than just like academic interest.
I swear we had a conversation about this, and you were like, I enjoy all parts of it, and like, I have everything I could want.
No.
I literally talked about like how scary having everything you want could be, and you were like, I do.
Oh, in life, yeah.
Wait, what other thing did you? What do you mean? Everything you want in life? Obviously.
I have everything I want. I wouldn't major in engineering if I had to.
Yeah, like
No,
what
no,
the
no. But
fuck?
I made the choice to major in engineering, and I'm happy with that choice. But I'm saying, in a world that is like approaching post scarcity, because everyone has access to all different types of information, then the difference would be is that I would want to be something that has way less utility than what I'm doing right now. Because I like engineering because I can help people.
It would have more utility. There's barely any engineers. There's like 10,000 people.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm meaning for right now. In that society, I'd probably be like an engineer just because that's what I'm good
No,
at.
but I'm saying
and
let
I would need
that go.
engineers.
I'm saying
Right
here's
now,
the
though,
choice.
the reason why I'm an engineer is because an engineer is what allows me to achieve my goals the best. And philosophy doesn't, even if it would be individually more enjoyable on a day-to-day basis.
Fair enough, but okay, but coming back to the like, so you're saying philosophy then? You'd be a philosopher.
No.
In
That
the,
would
in
be
the other
useless.
in the other scenario.
Yeah, that'd be useless. There's
You're
only...
saying no? No, okay, here's the scenario, okay? The other 10,000 people are the most like accomplished people, like just base level. Whatever they do, they instantly excel at, and so your contribution means nothing. Like it's so insignificant.
Then why would I do anything?
You're joking, right? You don't.
I wouldn't concentrate
Like-
on one particular thing. I'd just do whatever I felt like that day.
So philosophy.
No.
Oh.
Not
Well, you
always
do
that.
different things, fine. But I thought you were saying like the only reason we do something is because.
Oh, no.
That's why I was like, what? What are you?
No.
We might have to have a philosophy lesson, right?
Believe me, I
No.
don't. Well, there's still some people. There are a lot of people who think that.
There are a lot of people who go in and out of that. It's happens, but
What about you?
What would I do?
wait, but yeah,
I might be like Aristotle.
philosopher then.
Yeah, I guess, but.
But you have to choose an occupation. Like it's
It
a
would be
culture that
hard.
says you have to be one thing. You have to
You
have a
want me
job.
to
You
choose
have
an
to have a job.
occupation where
Do I
I
have
have to have
this?
a job.
Do I have this?
What?
the cell phone.
Phone?
Yeah. A computer,
The
technology, electricity.
Ah.
Because I would just pick the occupation that
fair
requires me to do the least amount of work.
Really?
If nothing I do has...
No, you have to have a job that like you would work the normal amount, but I'm only adding the like
engineering.
super advanced people thing because to get rid of the whole like I want to do the thing that
to be
like,
useful.
No,
Yeah.
that is the point of why I do things, though. Being useful.
Yes, I'm removing that.
Okay, so then
That does provide
I
a lot
know.
of meaning. Though.
that provides
I know. But
the
I'm saying
majority of the
there
meaning.
is definitely something beyond that.
It's small compared to everything else. Like
That's
the
it.
majority
I
of
would-
my motivations for doing things, for learning things, for everything I do is usually utility.
Sure.
Like a lot of the things.
I think I would.
I'm saying
Yeah, no,
remove
I
it.
think I would be Aristotle, but not in the philosopher sense, in the just like learning sense. Like in the same way that
Yeah,
Your
I just
job
spent
can't
the
be
same way
learning.
that the same way that
Hell
Aristotle
yeah, I can.
the same way that Aristotle didn't just do philosophy, he also had theories of science, of the
Okay,
natural world. And
Here's
et cetera.
here's the
Like Da
scenario.
Vinci,
Here's the
you know?
scenario. I got this. Your work has to be productive work that does contribute to society. You just won't know. You just won't know it's not really doing anything.
Oh, so you think
I'm
Yeah,
already.
okay.
That's already. Yeah, it's still like engineering.
No, but you do not. You know now
You're
that
saying-
it
You're
does.
asking what's left after.
You get locked
utility.
in. Yeah.
But the problem is, what's left is so insignificant compared.
Stop. It can't be that small that you can't make a decision on it at all. The whole idea
It's
that you have, the
basically
whole idea that
pointless.
you enjoy engineering and you can say you enjoy philosophy. Do you enjoy picking? Do you enjoy janitoring?
I enjoy most things, honestly.
Do you enjoy janitoring?
It would have to be something.
Is there a hierarchy of enjoying things? Of course
something
there
with
is.
some degree of
no
interest?
janitoring is equal footing.
No, but that would be chill too, because like all I would have to do
Yeah,
is
that's not the argument though. There's a hierarchy. There
the
has to be.
hierarchy would only be an engagement for like the topic. And,
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm engaged by a lot of things pretty equally. Like any academic pursuit is pretty damn engaging.
I don't think that's true.
Like there are some.
Like, I
degrees
don't
of
think
exception,
that's
but there are
true
enough.
for you. I don't think that's true for you even.
There's an
No,
enough.
I think
of,
it's
like, a-
well for me. I think that's pretty true.
Yeah.
I could
I don't
definitely
think
see
that's
myself studying, like my climate science class, for example. It's honestly pretty interesting. Like I don't see that as more innate to me than info sci
Yeah.
at all.
Exactly. Especially because
Yeah, sure, fine, but-
already I learned.
but something
But
like-
I just think both of them are
but-
pretty interesting.
But gender
Yeah.
studies.
So there's some that are definitely less
It's like-
interesting.
Yeah, sure. And
I'm
then
not saying I don't have a hierarchy. I'm saying that when I'm
there's
trying
a
to
lot at the
differentiate,
top.
yeah, there's a lot that are like
no, you just said
all
okay, but
like pretty good.
We're gonna
And
see,
then-
but I knew this would happen with YouTube, but like I just still wanted to try it because I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just knew it probably would happen because
us too.
I was trying to say something general.
Type B.
Exactly.
I still okay.
No, fine. But I was trying to get to like if you could do something.
I think
what
I would be
you do?
professional law exploiter. Is that a thing?
Because
Lawyer.
I fundamentally am different from you in that way. Because
What would you pick?
my art has value to me regardless of whether
You do art.
I'm saying, giving you an example of the absence of utility.
Oh, I agree with the absence of utility. I'm just
You
saying.
said that it's so insignificant
It's
that there's no.
okay.
Yeah, I'm saying there's a difference.
less
here,
insignificant to you. Yeah, that's cool.
Like, a lot more.
Okay, cool.
I'm not making a point here. I'm just saying. you didn't
Cool.
need to go. Okay, cool.
Well, no, I am. Even
Okay,
with the
cool,
point,
bitch.
No, I just don't see it's relevant. Okay.
The relevance is within the question. Like I can
Okay.
answer the question better.
I'm gonna go sleep now. That's my bedtime.
All right. So we decided literature is the discipline, and you guys couldn't decide what you wanted to do. Well, you said learning.
Philosophy
And
learner.
That's not a job,
Professional
bro.
learner.
Learning would be so fun though. Just
That's
tell
fine.
me
You know what?
the
Because
rest
I would choose that too. That sure, obviously. Okay. I
No,
get it.
you professor. No, you school university owner, like founder, school founder.
You.
Ezra Cornell.
Yeah.
But you're not learning stuff there. You're just an administrator.
No, well, I learned through teaching.
No, but debating
would have
with
to
your
learn to
low
then
key.
teach.
I would,
having-
yeah.
Imagine your job is like Sam's job. You get to debate with your students. That'd be fun.
Yeah, but I guess it would be something where you continually challenge yourself and learn. So that's kind
But
of.
and also since we're talking about a society of like 10K people, it would be like I'd have like a little like dojo basically of disciples. It's not a student professor.
Bro,
Cult
Oxford
leader.
Union.
Yeah.
No, dude,
It's not-
cult leader.
Yeah.
I would. My
It's
occupation would be cult leader.
It's not student like professor. It's
All
like
right, this got off the rails.
master
We're talking about
disciple.
cults now.
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
but actually though, I think my main thing would just be world leader.
Okay, I knew. I was
would
just
just
gonna
wanna
say no,
be
shut
the
up. No,
owner
if
of
I knew
everything.
if I didn't stop this conversation, it was gonna lead to Hitler. So we're done. Notes of a Cornell student. Peace.
of course it would.
I knew it. She was so close. Like she got to world leader.